pair. But all Bloomingdale's had were Ralph Lauren hosiery made in China. These feet are made for walking, as Nancy Sinatra once sang. No sale at Bloomie's, not buying Chinese stuff. American consumers should understand exactly what they are purchasing and from whom. China is a threat to the world. It cheats in the global economy, routinely violates human rights, and is building a ferocious military. Why should we buy anything from them? But most Americans don't even consider that. They want low-priced stuff, which China provides, because the communist system does not reward its workers. You take what they give you, or else you don't eat. Now, I won't buy a Mercedes vehicle either. That German company profited greatly from the Third Reich, and it was never held to account. If American consumers would focus on the bigger picture, we might not even need tariffs. We can make or break any product in the world. Just ask Bud Light. Back after this. For years, we've been told what we can and cannot take, like ivermectin was dismissed, not because it didn't work, but because it threatened big pharma. You should be able to control your health decisions. That's why it's smart to have the essential meds on hand, like ivermectin, antibiotics, and much more. All Family Pharmacy handles everything, shipped straight to your door. Go to allfamilypharmacy.com/Bill. Use code BILL10 for 10% off. That is the Morning O'Reilly Update. More analysis later on.
From the Michaels Flooring Outlet Weather Center.
Morning sunshine makes way for more clouds this afternoon and this evening, up to 73 for the high. And then things turn a little active. This evening and tonight, couple of showers possible, maybe a rumble of thunder, down to 54 for the low. Thursday, scattered rain and storms around mainly in the morning, up to 77. And let's watch for some potentially strong storms late Friday with warmer highs in the mid-80s. And waves of rain this weekend mean that Easter egg hunts will probably stay inside. That's your First Alert forecast. I'm meteorologist Matt Chambers.
Having your first cup of coffee? Mike's on his third. This is Mike Ferguson in the Morning on News Talk STL.
Tonight is the night. I'm really excited about this. Torch the Tax with Glenn Jacobs and Americans for Prosperity. Are you going to be there? Listen, if you've got a ticket, please come on out. Let's have some fun. There's going to be a cash bar there if you want to grab something to drink while we visit and talk and just have a fantastic time. I am looking forward to meeting everybody there. And just so you know, we are going to have kind of a meet and greet line. So if you want to meet Glenn Jacobs and maybe get something autographed, you can do that if you've got one of our free tickets, but you got to have those tickets. So once again, newstalkstl.com. All right. I started harping about this, a couple weeks ago or so. And it's funny how many lawmakers in Jefferson City have quietly and privately contacted me and said, yeah, it's a little uncomfortable, but you're right. We might have a situation where the establishment is sort of running things into the ground. Now separate that out from the actual legislative process where sometimes the sausage making just takes longer than you want. So we got an update from State Senator David Gregory on what's happening in the state capitol, including now the lawsuit against the state from the city of St. Louis, which wants to block that state oversight of the police department. Here's what the senator had to say.
The clock is ticking on the legislative session. We've been keeping an eye on this the last couple of weeks. And so now it's going to be a matter of which priorities make it to the finish line and to the governor's desk and which don't. And the conservative base, I don't think is going to tolerate as many things getting killed off by the establishment this year. That's just the way that I'm reading things. We're now joined by State Senator David Gregory. David, first of all, good chat with you again. Secondly, before I get to that, I want to get your reaction to the lawsuit that was filed by the city of St. Louis and Board of Aldermen President Megan Green, trying to block the new law that puts the oversight of the city police department back under state control, arguing that it's an unfunded mandate under the Hancock Amendment. Kind of a novel, kind of a unique argument. I don't see that as being an accurate reflection of what the Hancock Amendment requires. We knew the lawsuit was coming. What's your take on the city trying to block the law through that lawsuit?
Yeah. I'll tell you what, it's just a pathetic, desperate attempt. And look, I mean, you have your right. You have your right to file lawsuits. You have your right to be heard in your day in court, but they're going to lose, and they're going to lose huge. And I'm so excited about that. The state control is happening. They're not going to be able to stop it. All they're doing is attempting to delay the inevitable. And even then, I don't see much of a delay. So this is something that is super exciting. It's wonderful for St. Louis. It's wonderful for the entire state, with St. Louis being, the economic engine of our entire state. So I'm really excited about it.
All right. And so we'll see how that plays out. My guess is what your guess is it probably gets dismissed. And then the Spencer administration is going to have to decide whether to waste money on the appeals process of that. But I guess at least they can flail their hands to the left wingers and say, we tried to stop it. Now you're going to have to put up with a safer city, I guess, over time. So sorry about that.
Yeah, so sorry.
Yeah. Okay. So let's talk about the clock is now ticking at the legislature. We got 5 weeks left or something like that. David, we've seen this before when you were in the House and now that you're in the Senate. We've seen this where a lot of the establishment says, hey, give us credit for trying on these big conservative free market things, but gosh darn it, the clock ran out on us. And we all know behind the scenes what the game plan is here. What are those priorities, at least not just the priorities of you individually, but priorities of the conservatives that we need to maybe put some extra pressure on your colleagues on to say, no, we're not running out the clock on this. I mean, we've got school choice, we've got tax cuts, we've got your bill regarding illegal aliens in the state, which the House has said they're going to throw a fit about, or the Speaker did. So what are the top things that we need to be looking at on the issue wise and also on the clock and calendar wise?
Yeah, great question. So to be fair, right? To be fair, the clock is real, and the clock does run out. We can't fix everything we want, period. It's just not how it works, especially with the Senate. Our Senate rules make us some of the most powerful state senators in the country, and that's because of that filibuster ability to stand as long as we want and physically can. So running the clock out is a real situation. With that said, with a supermajority in the House, supermajority in the Senate, and the governor as a Republican, there's no excuse not to be getting things done. And so what I think you're going to see, and I know we're planning several things. First off, we want a Proposition A fix. Mm-hmm. A lot of people may not realize, but that, if you're a small business owner, it applies to you, and you're going to have minimum wage requirements. You're going to have PTO required, paid time off requirements. That's going to slam small businesses. So that's a top priority we're working on. Of course, we're working on an Amendment 3 fix with being an overwhelming pro-life majority. We're looking to send something back to the ballot for the folks to decide again. I think they got hoodwinked. And so we're going to send them something different and let them decide for themselves if they did get hoodwinked, in fact, or if they didn't. So those are two top priorities you're going to hear a lot about. And then, of course, no income taxes. That's going to be coming too.
Yeah, absolutely. Let me follow up on the Prop A question. It was kind of funny because I was at in a small business over the weekend where some of the employees were talking about this, and the employees obviously were happy about Prop A. I agree that it was terrible policy. But how do you do a Prop A fix and still sell that to the voters who did approve Prop A? Because I don't like the policy, but we lost the vote. So how do we square that at least from a PR perspective with people?
Yeah, so we're working on that now, and we're polling it. We're trying to figure out what's reasonable. So as opposed to total repeals, total pullbacks, what we're looking to do is make it more reasonable, more palatable. And so there's all kinds of ways you can do that with minimum wage. You can make it, a smaller minimum wage. You can make certain companies not qualified depending on the amount of employees. You can water it down in a lot of ways. It makes it more palatable and still something that the folks overwhelmingly like.
Yeah. All right. We're visiting with State Senator David Gregory here. Okay. Now, you mentioned the income tax, and obviously we have this event coming up with Glenn Jacobs Wednesday evening. A lot of people have this on the mind, especially now that it's tax day as well. We just feel that sting. I mean, the biggest sting comes from the federal government. You do have the ability to make life a little bit easier in the state. How serious is the caucus in getting this done? And at what steps can we hope to actually get accomplished this year? Eventually I'd love to see Missouri become a no income tax state just personally, but what's realistic this year as far as what can get done before that constitutional end of the session?
Yeah. So, I mean, if I had to guess, a complete removal of the income tax isn't happening this year. That's just a guess. Obviously, we're working hard on it. We want it, and it takes time because you got to do it responsibly. You can't just whack your complete set of revenues and then have nothing for roads and protection. So obviously that's something to work on. And I got to give a lot of credit to the governor. I'll tell you what, it is a different building. It is a different legislature with that governor because everyone likes him. He's got good relationships with a lot of us. He's coming himself personally to our offices, which is just, it's very unique for a governor to humble himself like that. And that is working. And you guys are going to see a lot more. The folks are going to see a lot more healthy, inner workings. They're going to see a lot of things getting done. And it is a lot because of our governor. He's doing an incredible job. So I expect no income taxes to happen in the next couple of years. I'd say 2 to 4. I don't expect it to go this year.
Yeah, that's my guess too. That's my read on the whole situation. Beginning of the legislative session, you got a lot of national attention for your bill regarding illegal aliens in the state of Missouri and law enforcement on that. The Speaker of the House, basically saying DOA if it gets to his side. But as you were just talking about the income tax, sometimes it takes being, submitted time and time again. What's the status of your bill now? Because it had a lot of support in the Senate. And what's the likely outcome this year? And if not this year, in future years?
Yeah, I mean, it's hard to tell. And I can tell you, whenever you do, unique landmark type, unprecedented type things that are good, it does come with confusion. And there's a lot of confusion I'm noticing, especially on the House side of, hey, how does this work? Are these bounty hunters just deciding for themselves who can and can't be arrested? Are they walking up demanding papers? And the answer is no. That is not how this works. And so as I'm clarifying a lot of confusion, I'm getting a tremendous amount of support. And of course, as I'm going on national TV, there's a lot of other states following suit because it's a really good idea. If bounty hunters are licensed to pick up U.S. citizens and bring them to court, they can certainly be licensed to pick up illegal immigrants and bring them to court. We just got to do it safely and make sure every constitutional right is followed.
All right. And another thing before we go, we got a couple minutes left here with State Senator David Gregory. A lot of contentious hearings in the legislature, not just in the Senate, regarding Second Amendment Preservation Act, regarding, other 2A laws. It was kind of disappointing to see so many police chiefs and law enforcement executives at the Capitol yesterday pushing back against the Second Amendment Preservation Act in Jefferson City, because obviously, with the Republicans generally being more pro law enforcement, that probably has a different vibe to it when you get a lot of police officers out there. What's the conversation looking like when it comes to safeguarding Second Amendment rights in particular?
Yeah, I mean, our legislature, it's going to pass. It's going to pass again. And, it's not offensive. I really respect our law enforcement for coming up here and telling us, how they feel. And they're on the ground every day. And so it needs to be something that we consider. With that said, we've just seen it time and time again with every gun law, right? I mean, you go back to when it was illegal to carry a gun in your car, and when that was considered an extension of your home, and everyone went nuts. Well, they had no real reason to go nuts, and they know that now. And then, of course, the garage, and we had that extension. And then we had, We had permits, carrying with permits. Everyone went nuts. This is going to be the worst thing that's ever happened. Nothing happened. And so every time we inch towards more and more gun rights, you're going to see that resistance, but that's okay. We're going to power through it. And then people are going to see that it actually is a wonderful thing.
All right. And Senator Gregory, we've tagged you on our social media, but people want to follow the work that you're doing and your colleagues. What's the best way to either be in touch or just follow along?
Yeah, just any social media. My handle is David Gregory Mo, M-O from Missouri. David Gregory Mo. You can find me on Facebook, Instagram, and X.
All right. If you haven't already downloaded our News Talk STL app, please do that. We've got a lot of people who really seem to like listening to the show and giving us feedback on the show from that app. So go to your app store, look up newstalkstl.com, and you can be a part of the program, this one and all the others, in a variety of ways. And it's just, frankly, a lot of fun as well. All right. 314-912-1019. That's how you get involved the old-fashioned way, talking on a talk show. So we got a lot of ground to cover here on 1019 and 94.1 News Talk STL.
Get up. It's Mike Ferguson in the morning.
All the information I need on the drive to work.
Mike Ferguson in the morning. I keep it on throughout the day, whether it's local, national, or something big that's happening overseas.
News, analysis, and opinion.
St. Louis is #1 for conservative talk.
News Talk STL.
Jewels on Hampton and St. Louis Hills is paying some of the highest prices on gold, silver, diamonds, semi-precious colored stones, coins, flatware, and fine watches on site. Jewels on Hampton is a premier jeweler featuring Alvanza's jewel art designs with an exquisite selection of diamonds, semi-precious stone jewelry, and vintage watches. Their expert design team can restyle your jewelry to today's contemporary style. They also do jewelry and watch repair. Need extra cash? Jewels on Hampton is paying some of the highest prices on gold, silver, diamonds, semi-precious colored stones, coins, flatware, and fine watches. Bring in your collectibles and clocks and sports memorabilia and figurines too. Jewels on Hampton, 4506 Hampton, just 3 blocks south of Chippewa, and jewelsonhampton.com. Call them at 314-752-5000, 314-752-5000, and jewelsonhampton.com. Jewels on Hampton.
From home improvement to replacement, do-it-yourself electrical projects can be shocking. That's where Grasser Electric can help. They've been lighting up St. Louis for years. From ceiling fans and dimmer switches to repair or replacing your electric. No job is too big or too small for your home or business. Grasser Electric will even install emergency backup generators. So call Grasser Electric today before the sparks start to fly. 636-441-5200 or go to grasserelectric.com.
Hey, DIY warriors, ready to transform your outdoor space? Start with Lee May Concrete Block, St. Louis's trusted family-owned manufacturer since 1947. Whether you're building a retaining wall, creating a backyard fireplace, or pouring concrete, Lee May's got you covered. From compact blocks to large cast concrete, they provide materials and professional guidance to bring your vision to life. Military and first responders get special discounts. Visit Lee May Block Showroom or LeeMayBlock.com. Lee May Block, building your dream one block at a time.
I am a real American, fight for the rights of every man. I am a real American, fight for what's right, fight for your life.
What's happening today? Here's your first dose of the news you need to know. This is Mike Ferguson in the morning on News Talk STL.
It's probably not going to surprise you that I really rocked out to this when I was in like high school, junior high, I think it was.
I can see you with the big hair, just in, air guitaring it in your room.
I think it was junior high. Man, when I first discovered like working out, this was one of my workout songs.
We need a Mike Ferguson workout montage now.
Oh, there we go. Yeah. Rick Derringer, right?
Yeah. Great memory.
Rick Derringer. Yeah. He had a couple like mainstream hits, but he's known for that song because Hulk Hogan used it as the walk-up theme. Oh, man, that's a trip down memory lane. All right, speaking of memory lane, guess who's back? Back again.
Shady's back?
Well, not him, but he's kind of shady. We'll get there in a second. Don't forget News Talk STL's streaming. Okay, so here's what I'm encouraging people to do. Since you've got a little more of a a TV kind of background, you've done some of the video stuff. We're having a lot of fun with our video stream. So if you got a smart TV, you can actually go to Rumble, or you can go Facebook or YouTube or whatever right on there. Find News Talk STL or find Mike Ferguson in the morning. Make us your morning show. We can say hi. We're local.
I second that.
There you go. Second with his t-shirt that says I second that. All right. So yeah, just check that out. You can put us on there and we can get your news and conversation. And of course, use our app to give us feedback on the program and be part of the discussion here. Okay, real quick. Tonight is the big night. Meet Glenn Jacobs. Woo! This is going to be fun. And be home at a reasonable hour for those of a certain age and beyond. But anyway, tonight is the Torch the Tax event with our friends at Americans for Prosperity. If you've already got your tickets, really looking forward to seeing you. Take pictures, tag News Talk STL. Glenn's going to be there. And yes, if you want to hang around at the end, we are going to do the thing with a line to where you can meet him, shake his hand, say hi, get a picture. He'll autograph one thing for everybody. No charge for any of that kind of stuff.
Oh, wow.
Yeah. So if you're there, you get to meet him. You get to meet Glenn Jacobs. And we're going to have I think we're going to have pretty much a full house. It's not going to be we're not going to be packed in like sardines. It's going to be comfortable, but it's going to be a lot of fun.
Yeah, come get your tax return signed at
There
the
you
Torch the
go.
Tax event with
Right.
Glenn Jacobs.
There you go. So come on out and see him. And obviously, I would normally say, hey, see us radio people. Well, we're here to see Kate. We're here to see Glenn Jacobs, and this is going to be interesting, I think, because there are going to be some people who come out because it's Kane.
Of course.
As the former world heavyweight champion, that's cool, man. That's great. If you're not into the policy or the politics, you're going to learn something. You're going to mingle, probably meet and hear about some of us that you've never heard before. And for those of you who are like, no, I want to know how this guy, operates in a no income tax environment and what he's got to say. Fantastic. You're going to get some ammunition in order to put that leverage on to our state lawmakers, because we just heard that discussion we had with Senator David Gregory. The goal is there among the majority party, the Republicans, but there's enough Republicans slowing it down that they're going to have to do it slowly and methodically, which means what we're going to talk about tonight, you're going to have a big part in helping that happen. But understand it is a marathon. It is not a sprint. But imagine having more of that money that you earn at work and being able to keep it instead of it going away and then you begging to get some of it back from the state at the end of the year.
And it's a great way of getting to know people that are also like-minded like you. So
That's right,
you can expand your friends network.
Yeah, precisely. All right. So I'm looking through all the news this morning, and it's funny how, media, national media in particular, they try to tell us what we should think is important. Right. Now I try to figure out what is important or what would be really interesting to people. And we talk about it, but man, if I get feedback from people and I get enough of it, I'm like, okay, something's here. But it's funny when media does that from sort of this elitist top down.
Yeah.
So Joe Biden made his first appearance.
I saw that.
Yeah. He spoke at this conference of people who were, advocates for people with disabilities. Okay. And he does basically a political speech bashing Trump. Okay, whatever. But what's funny to me isn't so much that the former Democratic president bashes the current Republican president. Now, there used to be kind of a code of the road that presidents just sort of faded off into the sunset. And then you sort of had this fraternity of former presidents where they kind of upheld the office above all else. That's gone.
Yeah.
That's gone. George W. Bush generally adheres to that rule. We don't hear from him anymore. I'm fine with that.
Yes.
I'm good with that. Barack Obama, he's young enough. I mean, when he left office, he was, in his early 50s.
Well, people actually want to hear sometimes what Obama has to say compared to Biden.
Yeah, because he's younger. He's the cool guy still. I mean, I don't know how old he is now, but he's not that much. I don't think he's that much older than me. I mean, I'm 53. So he's got his social media stuff. He's still got a business to run. He still has to make a career. He still has to do stuff. So he hasn't quite faded off. Trump never did, obviously, because, we knew he was going to run again. And now Biden makes his comeback. And first of all, it's like, you got to be taking a little bit of a chance if you book Joe Biden to do a speech. Is he having a good day? Is he having a bad day? So they took him out from wherever they've been hiding him these last, few months. And then he gave his, bash Trump speech, which, okay, that's what Biden does, is he bash a bunch. Probably all he remembers at this point. But it was funny to me how the media tries to make this like it's a big event.
They tried so hard.
I know. And I'm not even, I'm like, well, do I grab sound bites from the speech? No, I don't think anybody cares.
That would be elder abuse, to be honest.
Right, yeah. I mean, maybe he was having a good day. Maybe he got his little, jolt of uppers, and he was able to, get through it. I don't know. But it was just, to me, it's less about Biden and more about the media trying to say, oh, look, this elder statesman who we all need to, appreciate and admire. And even Democrats don't admire him.
No, I legitimately thought Disney World was unveiling their new animatronics for the Hall of Presidents attraction when I saw him out and say that, oh my, he's not doing good.
Well, those animatronics, I mean, last time I saw those was back in the 80s, and they looked more realistic.
They look more like a real human than Joe Biden.
More like real people, than Joe Biden did. Oh, geez. All right, a little bit later on today, let's give the new mayor some advice, unsolicited as it may be. How are you going to fix the city?
Nate Lucas here for the Village Bar in the heart of Des Peres. Since 1948, the Village Bar has been the go-to destination for delicious food, cold drinks, and unbeatable atmosphere. Savor their famous wings, burgers, and onion rings, or grab a drink from their fully stocked bar. Catch all the big games and enjoy the company of their friendly staff. Plus, don't miss the 1879 Distillery, a one-of-a-kind experience right next door. The Village Bar offers the best value in town. Find the Village Bar on Facebook and come experience where history meets great times. You'll be glad you did.
Springtime often means storms. Don't let a fallen tree ruin your day. Call Hanson's Tree. Look them up at hansonstree.com. Hanson's, your expert insured tree care specialist in the St. Louis region and well beyond. In addition to taking care of all the messes, they can take care of beautiful things as well. Organic mulch, tree trimming, grinding, and land clearing, green waste recycling. Let the expert arborists at Hanson's take care of all the tree care for your home or business. 24/7 at hansonstree.com, hansonstree.com.
To our brave police officers and first responders, we say thank you for risking your lives to protect us. To all the incredible volunteers who've joined hands with the David Dorn Foundation to raise funds for equipment and services, we extend our heartfelt gratitude. We stand strong with our volunteers who give their time, talent, and dedication as a shield of support for those who rush into danger. The David Dorn Foundation gives a big thank you from our heart to yours. Visit dornfoundation.com and join as a volunteer.
Jamie Allman here, tossing and turning over retirement worries. You're not alone. 3 out of 4 Americans share your concern about having enough saved. But here's the thing. A comfortable retirement isn't out of reach, even if you're planning for 30 or 40 years ahead. Every day, Jeff Portman from the Gemini Wealth Group helps people avoid the critical mistakes that can derail their retirement. Build your path to financial confidence. Visit GeminiWealthGroup.com or call Jeff directly at 314-888-0123.
Securities and advisory services offered through LPL Financial, a registered investment advisor. Member FINRA, SIPC.
KLGY HD3 Clayton, K270BW Bellefonte, KNVS Bowling Green. This is News Talk STL at 1019, 94.1, and always streaming at newstalkstl.com.
News this hour from townhall.com. I'm Rich Thomason. A federal judge is ordering sworn testimony by Trump administration officials regarding efforts to return an illegal alien who was mistakenly deported to his native El Salvador, although he was the subject of a court deportation order.
In a Tuesday hearing, the Maryland judge said Trump officials defied a Supreme Court order to facilitate the return of Kilmar Abrego Garcia. The U.S. and Salvadoran governments each said they were unable to bring back the man, but the judge dismissed those statements as two very misguided ships passing in the night. The Trump administration claims Abrego Garcia is in the MS-13 gang, but his attorneys deny the allegations. Greg Clugston, Washington.
Josh Sullivan is a free man this morning. The American pastor kidnapped at gunpoint during a service in South Africa last week was rescued by police commandos. 3 suspects killed in a shootout with police. Sullivan was not hurt. New survey has some bad news for Democrat Senator Chuck Schumer amid speculation that he could be primaried.
More than half of respondents to a new Marist poll of New Yorkers say it's time for Schumer to give up the role of Senate Minority Leader and pass the torch to somebody new. 45% said the 74-year-old Schumer should remain in the position. Among Democrats, about half say Schumer should remain in his current role. 48% say it's time for him to pass the torch. Schumer has faced growing criticism from within his own party for not doing more to oppose President Trump and the GOP majority. Bob Agnew reporting.
The New York Post reports New York Attorney General Letitia James is a target of a federal criminal referral over allegations of mortgage fraud. 3 students shot and wounded, a 4th injured during a shooting at a Dallas high school yesterday afternoon. Happened at Wilmer Hutchins High. Suspect is in custody. On Wall Street, the Dow futures down 59 points. More on these stories at townhall.com.
The following is not an actor, but a real-life story from Trinity Debt Management.
I'm Claire from Trinity Debt Management. I'm a counselor, and the reason that I love working for Trinity is because I get to help folks with one of the hardest problems a family can face, and that's financial difficulties. In this day and age, everything is going up. You have higher utilities, higher grocery bills, higher fuel, and those credit card interest rates have gone up as well. We can help you with that. We can help you get lower interest rates, lower monthly payments. In just a few minutes, we put together a plan that gets you out of debt and keeps you out of debt. I love my job. It's a great program and a very smart way to find debt relief.
If credit card debt has you down, call Trinity at 1-800-990-6976.
I'm Claire, a Trinity counselor. Call me and become debt-free for keeps.
1-800-990-6976.
From the Michaels Flooring Outlet Weather Center.
Morning sunshine makes way for more clouds this afternoon and this evening, up to 73 for the high. And then things turn a little active. This evening and tonight, couple of showers possible, maybe a rumble of thunder, down to 54 for the low. Thursday, scattered rain and storms around mainly in the morning, up to 77. And let's watch for some potentially strong storms late Friday with warmer highs in the mid-80s. And waves of rain this weekend mean that Easter egg hunts will probably stay inside. That's your first alert forecast. I'm meteorologist Matt Shane.
This hour of News Talk STL, brought to you by Jewels on Hampton, paying some of the highest prices for your gold, silver, diamonds, and more. Call 314-752-5000 or visit jewelsonhampton.com.
I'm so tired of my water smelling like rotten eggs. Iron foul. It makes my clothes and home smell, and my sink and faucet look dirty. I'm calling Jones Air and Water Treatment for their solution to this pollution.
Jones Air and Water Treatment has a solution to your pollution. Call now for your free water analysis at 636-899-1040 and live with clean, great-tasting water. That's 636-899-1040 or joneswater.com on the web. Call us now.
Confused about tariffs and trade policies? The Hammond Institute at Lindenwood University and News Talk STL present economist Dr. Nicholas L. Zebarth in their H.F. Langenberg Memorial Speaker Series. Join us April 24th as Dr. Zebarth breaks down what tariffs really are, how they work, and separates economic fact from fiction. Don't miss this chance to expand your economic understanding with one of Missouri's leading experts. Reserve your spot now at newstalkstl.com. The Vic Porcelli Show.
Next month, the National Guard will be deployed to Albuquerque, New Mexico to help fight crime and fentanyl. Better have good bulletproof vests with them. That's what Michael Letts does. We'll talk to him from Invest USA. Wednesday at 10:41.
Weekday mornings at 9 on News Talk STL. Mike Ferguson.
This is the kind of adventure I usually have to force upon us, and here it is, falling into our laps.
Gabe Pfeiffer.
They're buying it.
Get up! Get up! Can't you hear the alarm?
Get up, St. Louis.
Why'd you call the squat, son?
Mike Ferguson in the morning on News Talk STL.
Get up! Get up! This is your cousin.
All right, Cara Spencer lays out her goals for this term in office. One of our area U.S. senators wants to add a new holiday.
Another one.
Add another holiday.
All right.
Yeah, this is interesting. I'm curious what people think. I'm going to try to present it as neutrally as possible. I'm curious what people's opinions are.
Are we going to get the day off?
Yes.
Oh, okay. Well,
the government's taking a day off. We're not going to.
No,
get
we
a day
wouldn't
off.
here.
Yeah.
But I mean, but
I'm just saying, America's not really getting a day.
Well,
Missouri's not getting a day off.
It is that he wants to add a new federal holiday.
New federal holiday.
Yes.
Okay.
Paid day off.
Well,
that's what I'm
on
asking.
where you work. It depends on where you work. If they
I'm
recognize
against it then.
all,
That's what I'm saying.
all federal holidays depends on where you. Yeah, but
Yeah.
I'm curious as to what people think about it. I'll tell you about it here in a second. We'll discuss in more depth a little bit later on here. All right. Also, guess what, guys? The Blues get to keep playing hockey. There we go. It is 6:06. Let's go ahead and get going with that morning news dump.
Successful dump. Wake up, America. It all worked out. They got all the news. The morning news dump.
Okay, be thinking right now. Have your coffee. Get the juices flowing here. In about an hour, I'm just going to ask you, everybody, how should the mayor implement these goals to try to fix things in the city? All right. Mayor Kara Spencer is now officially in office shortly after her inauguration on Tuesday. She spoke with reporters about some of her first priorities.
We're going to be looking at transparency and accountability, opening the mayor's office, having some constructive conversations with members of the community leaders, et cetera. We're going to be moving forward with some accountability with regards to city services. That is critically important, how we deliver city services, improving those.
And I found that audio on Fox 2's website, by the way. The mayor says her other top priorities are improving openness and accountability in her office, improving public safety and economic development. Those are good. That's a good list. So how do you do it? Be thinking about that. I'm curious what people think there. All right. Senator Eric Schmidt wants to add a federal holiday to the calendar. So we're going to talk about this in more depth in just a little bit here, but he wants the Monday after Easter to become the next holiday.
Okay. So basically we would get an Easter holiday of some sorts.
Correct.
Some federal holiday recognizing Easter.
Correct.
Because obviously Easter is always on Sunday.
Yes. And there are other countries that actually recognize the Monday or use that as a holiday in their countries and cultures. His argument is about 2/3 of Americans identify as some version of Christian or self-identified as some version of Christian. About 80% of people in America celebrate Easter somehow, whether it's religious or not. And he says that's enough to make it a pro-family and pro-economy because people would be more likely to travel if you add that holiday after the Sunday.
Right. I guess that makes more sense. I was originally thinking, like, well, why not Good Friday? But as a travel day, in particular, that would be a big deal. I know of a number of families who do a sort of a family gathering for Easter brunch or something like that.
Right, exactly. So that's the proposal there. A little bit later on, is that a good idea? Should we be adding it? To me, the Good Friday would make more sense, but there are actually some, like I said, some cultures that do that on a
They recognize the Monday,
So we'll see what everybody
Interesting.
thinks about that. It is interesting. All right, the Trump administration and Harvard University are engaged in a high-profile clash with billions of dollars at stake. Here's the story.
Harvard this week became the first university to openly defy the Trump administration as it demands sweeping changes to limit activism on campus. White House Press Secretary Caroline Leavitt.
All the president is asking, don't break federal law, and then you can have your federal funding.
But Harvard sees the demands as a threat and says the school will not surrender its independence or relinquish its constitutional rights. The administration has frozen more than $2 billion in grants because of Harvard's refusal. Greg Clugston, Washington.
By the way, some reports say that Harvard has like $53 billion in endowments that they're sitting on. So be independent all you want. And regardless of who you think is right or wrong here, why is Harvard getting $2+ billion of taxpayer money?
I want to know too.
Yeah.
A lot of people will say, well, research. And the thing is, Harvard isn't particularly known for the type of research that I would be okay with the federal government helping.
They're more
universities.
Humanities.
They seem to be a lot of more humanities based and those sorts of fields. And how about no? How about no?
Right. Come up with your own money here. All right. This we're going to get into this here in the sixth a little bit later as well. A federal judge says New Hampshire dads Andy Foote and Kyle Fellers are not allowed to wear pink wristbands to high school games in their public school district to oppose boys competing against girls under the guise of so-called transgender. The dads sued their district after being banned from school grounds for wearing the wristbands to a game last year where a boy was pretending to be a girl and playing on the opposing team. Fellers tells Fox that he was quietly standing on the sidelines with the wristband, which are marked XX, the symbol for obviously female chromosomes, when the first conflict happened.
The school official came up to me, asked me to take it off or leave the game. I refused. I told him I have a First Amendment right. And then at that point, he asked the police officer to intervene. The police officer came over and explained to me that I was on private property and there was no constitutional rights.
Except you're not on private property when it's a public school district.
That's right. Even if the public school district is renting out a private space, it is functioning as a public event, and therefore you do have a right to be there. So I hope that lawsuit goes through.
It's still going, but get this. As it stands right now, the U.S. District Court judge says, regardless of the fact that it's a public school district, the displays they carried were, and I'm quoting here, fully capable of conveying such a message. So the case is ongoing. So it's like, well, you were saying something mean, therefore you're not allowed. This is absolutely a clear-cut First Amendment case. So we're going to get into this.
As many times I've seen, Crips and Bloods flying their colors at public school games. Don't give me this bullcrap that a pink wristband is a public threat.
Exactly.
Morons.
So we'll get into this in more depth because your reaction tells me, oh yeah, we need to talk
we need to talk about this a little more.
Because the question then comes up, put yourself in those dads' shoes there. What do you do? Put yourself in the situation of their friends or other parents who are there. What do you do when you see the police called and said, take off that wristband? They were not shouting or yelling or anything. They just had it on and they were banned. And so what would you do? How should people react? And be thinking about that. All right. Anybody missing a car by any chance?
Like a car?
Yeah. You missing your car?
A whole car?
You know where your car is?
Yeah.
It's right out there. Okay.
Yes, I sure hope so.
You got your, okay.
Well, I think I saw yours. It's fine. It's fine.
Someone left a car on the train tracks in Alton.
On the
Yeah, this happened Tuesday morning, and the vehicle was hit by an Amtrak near the old station, the old Amtrak station there on College Avenue. Nobody was in the car.
Did it get stuck somehow?
Well,
why?
That's what they are trying to figure out. The car had crashed through the protective fence by the old station. Right. Then apparently got stuck on the tracks. Whoever was in it bailed, and nobody was hurt. There were like 35 people on the Amtrak because it was an early morning runner there. But the Amtrak did not derail, but apparently they had slowed down enough to where there wasn't a lot of damage, but the Amtrak did actually hit the car. Alton police are investigating, but no word yet on any arrest or citations. I think we can fill in a few blanks just by stereotyping the situation. How much you want to bet that was a stolen car?
Well, I mean, indicators point that was the case.
Or possibility B, how much you want to bet somebody was blitzed when they were driving and had the oh crap moment once they crashed through the fence and realized what had happened?
Oh yeah, why not both?
Or both? Yes, precisely. Oh my goodness! Here, all right. Let's see here. The Blues are in the playoffs. Last night's 6-1 win over Utah in the last game of the regular season clinched that wild card spot. 4 different Blues scored in the first period alone. Jordan Kyrou added 2 goals in the third period. The Blues are going to play Winnipeg in the first round of the playoffs here. So we got a few days for that. The Astros even up the series against the Cardinals on Tuesday. The final score was 2-0. I would normally give you some sort of highlight, but when the entire score was 2-0, there's nothing to talk about.
That's not a lot.
Nothing happened. The deciding game of the series starts this afternoon at 12:15. You can catch that one on FanDuel.
Don't try to make me stop, no inspiration. You have a soul so dark.
Mike Ferguson in the morning.
You know, they have the Muslim ban. There is no white guy ban. So what do we do about that?
On News Talk STL.
Have you been injured in an accident? You need a personal injury law firm that wins. Onder wins. For over 100 years, we've been fighting and winning for St. Louis. $5 billion in negotiated settlements? We've got it. $300 million in verdicts? Done. Voted best law firm by STL Today 2 years in a row. Onder wins all the time. Car accident, trucking accident, workplace injury. No matter the case, let Onder win for you. When the stakes are high, we're the team you can trust. Wondering what your case is worth? Call now for a free consultation. And remember, we don't get paid unless you win. Dial 314 or 618-9-million. That's 9 then all zeros. Or visit onderwins.com today. Onder Law. Winning is what we do.
The choice of a lawyer is an important decision and should not be based solely on advertisements. Past results afford no guarantee of future results. Every case is different and must be judged on its own merits.
Hey, it's Vic. Are you worried about rising taxes? Well, you're not alone. With government spending outpacing revenue, many Americans fear a tax hike is on the horizon. But here's the good news. You have options. Chris Cooper of Serenity Wealth Management specializes in tax-efficient strategies for income planning, legacy, and growth. Chris knows your money will go to one of three places: the government, healthcare, or your family and charities. Shouldn't your loved ones come first? Don't let Uncle Sam be your biggest beneficiary. Take control of your financial future today. Visit SerenityNowTax.com for your free copy of Chris's book, The New Holistic Retirement. Serenity Wealth Management, because you deserve peace of mind in retirement. Request your free book today at SerenityNowTax.com. That's SerenityNowTax.com to get your free copy of The New Holistic Retirement. That's SerenityNowTax.com. Serenity Now with Chris Cooper.
Investment advice offered through Fortis Capital Advisors, LLC.
This hour of Mike Ferguson in the Morning is brought to you by Stifel. Request a portfolio review from your Stifel financial advisor at stifel.com. That's STIFEL.com.
Hi, it's Randy Tobler here. Pour a big cup of coffee and catch my show every Saturday morning from 6 to 9. Right now, it's back to Mike Ferguson in the morning here on News Talk STL.
Okay, now we went and done it, guys.
Oh yeah, what's that?
Yeah, Gail King's mad at us.
Oh,
Yeah.
did we go too far?
Yeah,
You think?
she's not happy.
Oh,
I'm
boy.
sorry.
Yeah.
Are we though?
Yeah.
Are we sorry?
She,
I don't think so.
Blame that Gabe.
yeah, she is mad at everybody who made fun of the girls' day trip to space the other day because we're not taking it seriously enough.
Okay.
We're not taking this girls' trip to space seriously enough.
Apparently, it was a monumental event in history that we must recognize.
Pretty much, yeah,
Mhm.
exactly. Here, all right, just ahead here. Okay, so what would you do? Okay, I'm gonna bring this back. A judge supports a public school district and supports the police who told two dads they cannot silently protest a boy competing against girls in high school sports. So I've got the deeper details at 6:35. We kind of mentioned this in the news dump, and that's my question. What would you do? What should they do? Because I've got ideas as to what I would want to do, but then again, there's a reason that there are people who don't like me in this world.
Mhm.
Because I think it is way past time we stop playing around with this stuff, and yes, do boys cry? Let's find out.
Here we go.
Even if they're pretending to be a girl.
Mhm.
So 6:35. Let's talk about that. Okay. By the way, real quick, tonight, the Torch the Tax event, man.
Woo!
This is going to be awesome. Glenn Jacobs is going to be in town. He's on his way in. He'll be here in a little while. So it's going to be fantastic. If you've got a ticket, looking forward to seeing you there. So we're in the streets of St. Charles. Just to remind everybody, there are two Funny Bones. We're at the one in St. Charles, not the one in Westport. One in St. Charles, streets of St. Charles. Come on out. Doors open at 6. And so if you head up there a little bit early, there are a bunch of really good restaurants there.
Mhm.
Grab some food. We're going to have, wait staff at the event if you want to get drinks or anything like that. During the event, not required. Somebody actually asked us, like, well, this is a comedy club. Is there a 2-drink minimum? No, there's not. You don't have to buy it. You don't have to spend a penny, but you got your ticket, your free ticket. Love to see you out there. Say hi. Jerome and I are going to be there.
Oh, yeah.
And then I think Larry Connors is going to be there. And I don't know who else is going to be there from the station, but a lot of us are going to be there. So I'm going to be emceeing the event along with our friends from Americans for Prosperity, but you're actually going to get to meet Glenn Jacobs if you want to. And he'll autograph one thing for each person, no charge, because we'll try to keep the line moving. But you get a chance, you want your picture taken with him, and you get to meet him after it's all said and done, then fantastic. Let's do it.
Yeah, if you've ever wanted to feel tiny next to somebody.
Yeah. Oh my goodness. So we will see you. We'll see you at 6 tonight.
Yeah.
And so we'll be out at a reasonable hour. Don't worry, we're not going to keep you all night. But Streets of St. Charles, man, there's a lot of great stuff out there. So I eat there quite a bit. You've got a bunch of restaurants out there and some really good ones at that. All right, it is 6:21 right now here. So apparently Gayle King is upset that there are people who do not take what they did seriously earlier this week.
Right.
Seriously.
So particularly mad at us.
Yes.
Happened. And to all those affected, I want to say we are deeply sorry.
Yeah.
Kind of.
She was asked by somebody about all the people mocking it, this trip. Because we'll get back to mocking it here in just a second.
Yeah.
But here was her response to this here.
I really resent that people are calling it a ride. We duplicated the trajectory of Alan Shepard's flight back in the day. No one called that a ride. A ride sounds frivolous. It sounds insignificant. This was a bona fide flight. So, I say, have you been to space? Have you seen what Blue Origin does to get these machines up, get them up and get them down with the precision that they do? I'm sorry there are haters. There's always going to be haters.
So, Gabe, it's just like what Alan Shepard did.
Alan Shepard actually had a job while he was in there. It's like we're not making fun of what Blue Origin does. Gayle seems to think it's like, are you guys are poo-pooing the fact that they followed the trajectory. You didn't follow the trajectory. the scientists who and engineers who put the rocket together, who programmed the mission and who monitored it throughout its flight, those are the people who actually did something. What we're saying is your girl's trip to space wasn't a big deal for you. And you making it a big deal because the girls got together and they conquered space. That's kind of how you've been presented to us. That's garbage. And we were just calling you out on it. Sorry.
So apparently here, and I didn't. We had the video stream going while this was happening here. And so Lauren Sanchez, whoever that is,
I think she was one of the.
Yeah, which I know she was on there. I don't remember what she is or why I'm supposed to know who she is.
She might actually be the bona fide rocket scientist. There was one bona fide rocket scientist and one previous astronaut on that trip.
So whichever one she is, so she apparently they had the cameras and they were live streaming, which is cool technology.
Oh yeah, absolutely.
She held up a stuffed animal during the trip that is apparently a character in her book that she is trying to sell right now.
Oh yeah, that's
very important.
Yeah, and then Katy Perry held up some sort of like butterfly shape with some words written on it. It was her set list for her upcoming tour.
Okay, all right. So it's a commercial.
Yeah, so it was and here's the thing. I'm a capitalist.
Yes, same.
I say, all right, Bezos, good for you. You know what? You had a big marketing thing, and you either paid or worked out a deal for one network to go lunatic gaga over it. Good.
Yeah.
Good for you. But like this is some like big scientist and Gayle King, I resent the fact this was the same trajectory as Alan Shepard. Well, Alan Shepard did this in what, the 50s or 60s, something like that.
Yeah, they did those calculations with a slide rule. Okay, so just relax.
Yeah, precisely. And that's what's funny is why don't you lean into it and say, isn't this amazing? In 2025, we can have a girls' day and go up in space for 10 minutes and bring teddy bears and,
right.
All this sort of. Alan Shepard took his life in his hands.
Yes, he did.
To get there. And so to compare what you foo-foo leftist, weirdos, got to, she's like, you called it a ride. It was a ride.
It was a ride.
It was a ride.
It was absolutely a ride.
You weren't driving squat, so you did not accomplish anything, which is why we're having fun and make it. And listen, if I had a chance to do the same thing, I'd do the exact same thing, but I would not be demanding that people respect my scientific accomplishments because I was in the seat.
And to the commercial aspect of it, the fact that it was basically an advertisement for Jeff Bezos, he's selling those rides for $150,000. For $150,000, you too can experience exactly what they did. Right. You can get your astronaut wings and everything.
Yeah.
And that was actually the point. That was actually Jeff Bezos' point. I don't know what Gayle King's point was, but
don't you know how important she is, Gayle?
Yeah. Yeah. See, and the thing is, while they were on the ride and they realized they were going to be on TV, live on TV, the passengers realized, oh, wait, this is a commercial. So why don't I take advantage of the time that I have in front of the camera and advertise the thing that I'm doing? And thus the book advertisement and the tour advertisement. So it only makes sense.
Gabe, how difficult would it be for you to get us back up there so we could do at least a segment in space? Just a segment in space. Happened up there, you know?
That would be really cool. Well, it would take $750,000.
Okay, never mind.
Yeah. Childless cat lady for Trump. One of my cats could do what these women did, and cats kill mice. So unlike these chicks, they are actually useful when they're on Earth.
Woo! Dang. The ladies are brutal.
Oh my
and
God,
I love it.
And here's the funny part is we had a good laugh about it, and then we just moved on because it just wasn't that important.
It wasn't that big a deal.
It wasn't even the first time somebody had a like commercial tourist trip to space. It's been done before. And so the funny part to me is these self-important celebrity types who get angry when you don't take them seriously.
Yes.
When I would take it a whole lot more seriously if Gayle King said, that was amazing. I hope everybody gets to do this. This was fun. Did we like solve any scientific problems? No, but I had a chance to go into outer space for a couple minutes and I did it.
Right.
You should too. If you can do this, just treat it for what it is, not demanding that we look at it for something more important than it is.
So just because I'm not up to date with the world of rockets, I'm trying to find them a win, something they can say that would actually stop the criticism. So has there been a 6-passenger rocket shot up so they can't even say they're the first 6 person?
No. That was regular. I think there were 6 on Shatner's trip.
Yeah, because William Shatner was on one. I don't remember who else. Somebody else famous.
There were some other famous people who went up. They've been doing this for years now.
Yeah. Oh man, okay. Yeah, I tried.
Yeah, exactly. He was on your side, Gail, but he couldn't get there.
Gail.
Couldn't get there.
The thing is, where we're watching, like they're doing this big, huge celebration when they're walking off. I mean, like seriously, like it's Neil Armstrong on the moon or something like that.
Oh yeah,
and they're walking off a wave, and the one of the first ones to get off is this plastic woman who's had all this stuff. I guess this is Bezos's girlfriend.
That's Bezos' girl,
whoever she is.
Yes.
And she didn't even look really human.
No.
On there, and I'm like, okay,
she's going back home.
Yeah.
Sorry, couldn't help it.
and so I'm like, okay, I didn't realize that somebody was going to be demanding that you respect my accomplishment. You didn't accomplish anything.
No, I'm really surprised they didn't do the right stuff slow-mo walk. That's kind of what I was expecting from the package that CBS did, because they were running they were full coverage. Actually, a week before that, because I usually get the CBS feed. They had the countdown, and they would have periodic check-ins with Gail, like, how are you feeling, and all these other things. It's not like she was training for anything.
No.
You go in the rocket, you sit, you get up to a certain altitude, you may now move about the cabin. That's and right. then they start doing, stunting for the cameras that are on board.
Which is probably planned.
Yes. And then you do your, roller coaster scream on the way down. And that's it. That's literally the entirety of the ride.
They probably had to pass some kind of basic physical to be allowed to do it.
Yeah, I think so.
I would pay money to see them that 0G machine that they spin the astronauts around.
Oh yeah,
I would love to see that.
Oh yeah. Well, the thing is, now to be fair, they did have to experience the full G's of acceleration. So there was now. I am sure they got a briefing on how to deal with that.
Right.
You squeeze in order to prevent your blood from getting drained, blah, blah, blah. But everybody does that. Right. Everybody's done that. It's like, it's not that big a deal.
They take news reporters up in the Blue Angels. They've got to,
Oh yeah. Same thing. Yes, exactly. Yeah. If you're going to experience a 6G turn in a fighter jet, like they do the passengers in the backseat of one of those, then yeah, they get the same training. Right. It's not that big a deal.
But it's important, and Gayle King resents you, Gabe.
No, I'm sorry.
You're going to have to live with that.
I guess I will. I guess I'll just live with it because
you, Gabe.
She didn't do nothing.
Yeah, that's right. All right, just ahead here. Put yourself in this guy's position. Your daughter's playing in the sports league. The other team has a boy on there. So you decide to send a message. You wear a wristband that says XX. That's it. That's all you're doing. Otherwise, you're watching the game and the school district tells the cops to throw you out. You're not allowed back on. And a judge freaking agreed with it?
Yeah.
What should we do? What would you do in response to that? Let's talk about that right around 6:35.
We're sorry. We're sorry. We're sorry.
From the Michaels Flooring Outlet Weather Center.
Morning sunshine makes way for more clouds this afternoon and this evening, up to 73 for the high. And then things turn a little active. This evening and tonight, couple of showers possible, maybe a rumble of thunder, down to 54 for the low. Thursday, scattered rain and storms around mainly in the morning, up to 77. And let's watch for some potentially strong storms late Friday with warmer highs in the mid-80s. And waves of rain this weekend mean that Easter egg hunts will probably stay inside. That's your first alert forecast. I'm meteorologist Matt James.
Tony Colombo here for my dentist, Dr. Matt Boscia at New Creation Dental Care, the one-stop shop for all your family's dental needs. And Dr. Boscia is always expanding his services, now including the incredible all-on-4 full arch implant procedure, full mouth restoration that can give you back your smile in as little as 1 day. No more suffering with damaged or missing teeth or poor fitting dentures. You can see some amazing smile makeovers, learn more about the all-on-4 procedure, and see everything Dr. Boscia can do right now at newcreationdentalcare.com.
Hi, Sean Long from STL Fenceworks. A new fence or deck is an investment in your home and your lifestyle. But how do you ensure that you're getting the most out of that investment? At STL Fenceworks, we know the key is satisfaction. Satisfaction means getting a fence or deck that not only meets your needs, but exceeds your expectations. Satisfaction means working with a team that cares about your project as much as you do. Satisfaction means having confidence in the quality of your new fence or deck, knowing that it was built with the best of materials and workmanship. STL Fenceworks, your satisfaction is our passion. And for me, satisfaction is knowing that providing for your family is how I provide for mine. Visit stlfenceworks.com and experience the satisfaction in making your backyard dreams into a reality.
News, analysis, opinion.
Far too many nations around this world have been ripping off the United States of America.
Our country is in serious trouble.
The people voted for major government reform, and that's what people are going to get.
101.9 and 94.1 News Talk STL.
I love that you're starting your day off right with Mike Ferguson in the morning. It's your boy Joe Pags. Talk to you tonight. But now let's get back to Mike.
Okay, so the pervert left still insists on demanding people conform to their sickness. Not that I was playing nice before, but I'm really kind of done with playing nice at all.
We're done.
Yeah. And a judge agrees with the pervert left in this one particular case. So here's the question I've got. What would you do if this happened in your district? Because believe me, there are districts all over the St. Louis area where I could see this absolutely happening. It is 6:34. The number is 314-912-1019. By the way, check out our podcast, our on-demand listening. So our conversation about the original conversation about the ladies going into space that we should absolutely respect for their accomplishments as strong, independent women who had stuff to market. Apparently that's doing pretty well. And then what was it? It was the conversation with Shannon Adcock from Awake, Illinois, that I woke up this morning and I see some alerts. And so somebody on the far left got mad at Shannon and mad at Jerome for, I guess, mad at all of us for, fighting for, families and freedom and the freedom to homeschool. And so apparently that conversation, that podcast started a little bit of a buzz too. Find out why. Subscribe. You can subscribe to the whole station, or you can just subscribe to the show, whatever you want.
Yeah, apparently, if you don't want the government telling you how to raise your kids and having every bit of their tentacles into your lives, that makes you like the worst kind of scum.
So. Yeah, absolutely.
Apparently,
that anonymous Twitter account said so.
Yes.
So there it is. Okay, so apparently now you cannot even look like you have a gender ideology wrongthink violation in some parts of America. And a judge has actually ruled on this. So this comes from New Hampshire here. So basically, here's what happened is two dads. One of them's named is Andy Foote. And they were going to watch their daughters play whatever sports at their public school there. The other team had one of these perverts, mentally ill perverts playing who pretends he's a girl. And so the school district went up to both of the dads because they were wearing these wristbands that just said XX. They didn't have big signs. They weren't yelling and screaming. They had these wristbands that were making a point. This is a girls' game. Girls are the ones who should be playing here.
Yes.
Yeah. So the federal judge, though, in the case ruled against the two dads and said they can no longer wear those pink wristbands to high school soccer games in their public school district to oppose the boys playing against the girls. So Andy Foote and Kyle Fellers were both on the Ingram Angle on Fox to talk about this particular case. And Foote says they were not there to harass or to harm anybody by wearing the wristbands. They were simply making their point very silently.
I don't think anybody knew what we were doing. I think it was so quiet and silent. There was no indication. I mean, we were wearing these, sitting quietly in lawn chairs on the sideline.
Yeah. So the dads sued the district after being banned from all school grounds.
That's crazy.
For wearing the wristbands to the game. So the parents' lawyers are arguing that the actions are free speech, but the U.S. District Court judge says while they weren't directly targeting the player, the displays they carried were fully capable of carrying a message to demean and harass. So in other words,
what the heck is that supposed to mean?
Well, what it means is that okay, I can't use the words that just came.
Yeah, it's easy. Get ready on the dump book.
What it means is they were guilty of wrongthink with a left-wing public school district, and a judge, apparently left-wing, basically says you don't have a right to say anything if somebody else isn't going to like what you say.
Right. Yeah, that's what it sounds like.
And here's the thing is if they were with a big sign and they were heckling and screaming, you're even borderline at that point, but I could see them going, no, you're not going to scream at the kids.
Right.
Okay. Regardless of who it is, they were wearing a wristband that had two letters on it, XX. That was it. And for that, they were removed and they were banned from the school grounds. Eventually, they're going to win this case.
Yeah, what's next? They're going to ban the opposing team because there people in the audience are cheering for them to beat
Right.
you. Like
because it might demean and harass.
It might demean and harass the home team,
Right, precisely. So what would you do? I mean, so what do you do, even whether you are the dads themselves or you're just other parents around there?
Now, at the moment, I mean, generally I would not, I won't comply, but I'm not going to get violent. I'll say it that way. So you're going to have to drag me out.
Yeah.
I'll just leave it at that.
I would keep showing up with the wristband.
Yes. Well, I mean, if we're talking, there was at the time, like if, when they were originally confronted, you're going to have to drag me out then. And in the following games, I'm escalating. Okay. It's not a wristband anymore. It's a t-shirt.
Yeah.
Okay. It's not a t-shirt anymore. It's a banner.
Right.
Not only that, I've got a legion of random dudes that I would pay money to be there with the t-shirt and to hold up banners.
See,
we're going to take over the entire venue with the hundreds of people I will spend money to bring into there with the t-shirts and everything. You will not tell me how I'm going to express myself at a public event where my daughter is supposed to be playing soccer.
And it's a public property as
public
well.
property.
First of all, I think you should be suing the police department.
Oh, absolutely. I would sue those guys.
Sue the school district and sue the police department.
Everybody's getting sued.
Both of them violated their rights. I would be printing up hundreds of those wristbands. And you're talking about t-shirts
and banners, everything.
And at this point as well, say, okay, you want to coddle the mentally ill pervert running out. I know it's like, well, he's a teenage kid, he's confused. Treat him like a mentally ill pervert. Let's find out if boys cry.
Yeah.
Let's find out. Let's find out if if he can withstand the heat. He wants to put himself in that position and demand everybody accommodate his mental illness. Playtime's over. it's you call him out for the pervert freak that he is. And then you absolutely, you want to call it bullying, do it from the heckling, do it from there. You make this kid's life miserable. You make the coach's life miserable. You make the rest of the team's life miserable. And then you make sure that people understand you're going to haul us all off.
Yeah. You're not going to do this anymore.
Yeah.
Hey, if at all possible, I would like to be on the team and mark up the boy on the field. I'm just saying.
There you go.
I mean, I can take a few yellow cards.
Yeah.
I'm just saying.
We're going into break already?
Oh, was that not the you keep doing those little whirly bird hands?
Oh, did I? Oh, I'm sorry. I was gesticulating.
You're the kind of guy where you're talking with your hands and the waiter keeps thinking you're hailing him down. Okay?
I was like, wait a minute. I got a lot of stuff to piss people off.
It's like we got more.
Yeah.
We got more.
Sorry. No,
Jeff's calling and saying he needs to get more soap now.
I was gesticulating.
Yes,
but no, I mean, I think this is one of those cases, where we are on that tedious spot right now where we're looking at, okay, a judge has ruled, though, we're a nation of law and order. So am I being hypocritical when, we see other people? Well, at some point you say this is not valid. This is not just.
Yeah.
And people are like, well, leave the kids alone. No.
They're involved now.
Right.
That's the thing. And honestly, it's the parents who involve them.
Right.
Because it's the parents who decided to coddle them, to make them objects of this objects of this crazy ideology and spreading it throughout. Because if it's my kid who's got these mental issues, I'm not inflicting those mental issues on everybody else.
I saw an interesting video. It was actually this morning. It's funny because I saw the video before I saw this story, so it was kind of fortuitous. And it was from England, and there was a I don't know who she was, whether she was some professor or whatever, or activist or whatever. And she was saying these parents, she says she compared them to the Japanese soldiers who were left on the islands and were fighting the war decades after it ended. You've read these stories, right? They didn't know the war was over.
Right. So
they kept fighting out of their sense of duty. She compared the parents of these pervert kids to those Japanese soldiers. I'm thinking, well, that's weird. Why is that? She said, because if they admit the war is over, they have to admit that they were wrong, and they have to admit the damage and everything that they've caused to their own children, because they've done one of the worst things you could ever do to a child, much less your own child.
Yep.
Yeah.
And so that's how I thought it was a fascinating comparison. I've got to think about whether I agree or not with it, but because they have to stand, because we've asked the question, why is the left standing on this hill and willing to die on this hill? Because if they back down, they will have to admit how wrong they are, how perverted they are, how destructive they are,
and abusive,
and that they have done irreparable damage to God knows how many young people.
That's true.
Here.
Well, and that's the weird thing too, is that some of what they give these transitioning people were originally used to chemically people that were in prison for certain things. So it's like, why would you want to put that into your own flesh and blood?
Yeah. And if you're an adult and you're just that messed up and you're going to do that to yourself, you're an adult.
Yeah.
I mean,
deal with your own crap.
I'm not going to pay for it.
Right.
No.
But I would even argue you've got a right to do that to yourself as a consenting adult. What we have here are groomers. I mean, I would argue that judge is at least indirectly participating in grooming of children by demanding you accept this, to the point of saying that these dads cannot even simply say, I disagree.
In silent protest.
Which is all this wristband did, was say, I disagree. And then they use the police to evict them from public property and lied to them. If this dad's account is accurate, saying, well, you're on private property. No, you're not. The public schools are not private property. Well, the school district owns it. The school district is owned by the tax-paying public.
Right.
That is not private property. Absolutely, the First Amendment applies. And so what's happening here is the school district, that police department in New Hampshire, and now a federal judge have all said you don't have a right to disagree, where somebody might hear your message and find that demeaning or harassing. It's time to demean and harass.
Yes. I'm suing everybody.
Yeah. Including the police department. Without a doubt. Let's do it now. I'm trying. I'm like sitting on my hands like, oh yeah, I did like wildly do my thing with my hands.
He's like, hey, what's going on here? So
Yeah.
yeah,
Exactly. Because I give the rap signal, and Jerome, was like, okay, let's go. And I'm like, oh, wait a minute. Why are you, you're not doing that. I did that. Okay.
I know Vic's Italian, but are you Italian by chance?
No, I am not.
Okay. I'm culturally appropriating.
I am of Scottish extraction back in the day, but we used to wave around like swords and
yeah, exactly. Same thing.
Grab women by the hair and all these terrible things that we would do back then.
Scottish dating advice.
Yeah.
Get up. It's Mike Ferguson in the morning. Watch us on our live stream using Rumble, Facebook, and Twitter. You're listening to News Talk STL. St. Louis's place to talk.
Freedom of speech is one of the anchors of our society.
News Talk STL.
In a world filled with uncertainty, one truth brings eternal hope. Jesus Christ's sacrifice on the cross, the greatest act of love ever shown. This Easter, pause to reflect on this profound message of redemption. Through his sacrifice, new beginnings are possible for everyone. Experience the joy of Easter with those who support our community: Tango Argentina Foods, Jules on Hampton, Abibi Pizza, Pasta, and more, and Best Buy Flooring.
Spring has sprung at Daniel's Farming Greenhouses on Joggerman and St. Peters. Discover our breathtaking 55,000 square feet of greenhouses featuring 8,000 hanging baskets, hundreds of perennials, and 100,000 pots of colorful annuals. From vegetable plants to premium grass seed, mulch to herbs, our knowledgeable staff is ready to answer all your questions. Start spring off right with pansies, potted tulips, and everything your garden craves. Daniel's Farming Greenhouses. Visit us today on Joggerman or online at danielsfarminggreenhouses.com.
Attention Chesterfield, your beverage destination has arrived. Introducing the all-new Save On Liquor and Wine Chesterfield, a massive 30,000 square foot paradise. Step inside our walk-in humidor featuring the largest selection of premium cigars anywhere. From craft beers to fine wines, top shelf liquors to trendy spritzers. We got it. Competitive prices, knowledgeable staff, and an unbeatable selection. Visit the new Chesterfield Airport Road location today, one of our many stores across Missouri and Illinois, or at saveonliquor.com.
SR1 Sundays.
Aaron Dorr with the Missouri Firearms Coalition. I want to remind you to tune in to Shall Not Be Infringed every Sunday night at 9 p.m. right here on News Talk STL. Part of SR1 Sundays at 6 p.m. it's Stand and Fight with Senator Nick Schroer, followed by Straight Lines with Elizabeth Kaiser at 8. And again, Shall Not Be Infringed at 9. Then download the News Talk app and listen anywhere, anytime to 1019 and 94.1 News Talk STL.
SR1 Sundays.
Sunday night at 6 on News Talk STL. This hour of Mike Ferguson in the morning is brought to you by Stifel. Request a portfolio review from your Stifel financial advisor at stifel.com. That's STIFEL.com. Love the music you hear on the morning show? Check out Mike's morning music playlist at newstalkstl.com.
Hey, did you was this in the plans for the bump music earlier, or is it just kind of shot it out there?
No, that just I was looking for something to play near the end there, and that just kind of happened to be in the list.
Okay, so Jay Monty, one part of our Rumble part of our News Talk STL family, he just said that he was actually in this video, Pour Some Sugar on Me.
Mm-hmm. Oh wow,
yeah,
that's crazy.
He said I was behind this hot girl. Then I didn't see you, Jay Monty. I was looking at the hot girl.
Nope, nobody saw you, Jay Monty.
There were other people in that video.
Yeah, and so Jay Monty, if you can tell me the timestamp of when you're there, I'm looking up the video and I'm gonna find you. That's actually really cool. I don't remember where they filmed that video, but that was a concert video that they did back in the 88 or whatever it was that song came out. All right, that's pretty. So Jay Monty's famous.
Mm-hmm.
So if he's in that video, more people have seen him than have seen us.
That's true.
That's true.
Yeah, that's true. Now, whether they register that they saw him or is
not
up
if
for
he's
debate.
standing behind the hot
girl.
girl.
Yeah, no. Yeah.
He was the one with the sugar.
All right, it's 6:50 right now. Let's go ahead and sneak in another news dump here.
The The morning news dump.
Are you joking? Is this a joke?
Listen, folks. The morning news dump.
All right, Mayor Cara Spencer now officially in office. She is no longer alderwoman. She is no longer mayor-elect. She is mayor. And shortly after her inauguration, she spoke with reporters about some of her first priorities. I grabbed this audio from Channel 2.
We're going to be looking at transparency and accountability, opening the mayor's office, having some constructive conversations with members of the community leaders, et cetera. We're going to be moving forward with some accountability with regards to city services. That is critically important, how we deliver city services, improving those.
Okay, so the mayor says her other top priorities are improving openness and accountability in her office, improving public safety, and economic development. At 7:05, let's offer our unsolicited advice on how are you going to get those things done.
Okay.
All right. Let's. I want to bring back this. We were just talking about the situation in New Hampshire where the judge and the police and the school district says these dads cannot wear a wristband, which indicate they disagree with the gender ideology. So let's bring that back. Maybe 7:35 or so, because we got a lot of people have some strong thoughts on that. But a federal judge says the New Hampshire dads, Andy Foote and Kyle Fellers, can no longer, well, they've been banned from the property, but they can no longer wear pink wristbands to high school games in their district, which is opposing the boys and the girls sports. The dads sued the district after being barred from school grounds for wearing the wristbands to a game last year where the boy played against the girls. Feller tells Fox that he was quietly standing on the sidelines with the wristband, which was simply marked XX, the symbol for obviously female chromosomes, when the conflict happened.
The school official came up to me, asked me to take it off or leave the game. I refused. I told him I have a First Amendment right. And then at that point, he asked the police officer to intervene. The police officer came over and explained to me that I was on private property and there was no constitutional rights.
Okay, so first of all, you're not on private property.
Nope.
That's a public school district. You're not on private property. That police officer was full of crap. The dads say they did not intend to harm or harass the athlete, but the U.S. District Court judge says the displays they carried were, and I'm quoting here, fully capable of conveying such a message. So what?
Yeah. So you mean my message hurts somebody's feelings? Yes, that's what happens when people disagree with one another sometimes.
Yeah.
Somebody gets a little butthurt about it. That doesn't mean it's a violation of law.
Right.
Jackhole.
Or it's even somebody might get their feelings hurt. about
Yeah,
it.
I mean, that's even worse.
If they saw it and then they
recognized what it was,
they didn't like it,
and
then and so what? I hope the guys, clean out the school district, and I hope the police department involved gets some heavy sanctions as well.
Yeah, we just went through almost a decade of pro-feminist, pro-woman power movement stuff, and now all of a sudden it's bad to support women. It doesn't make sense to me.
It is so crazy what's going on right
insane.
now. The feminist inversion has happened, and we didn't even notice until just now.
Right. Yeah. All right. Senator Eric Schmidt wants to extend the Easter holiday by making the Monday after a federal holiday. So his bill is called the Easter Monday Act of 2025, and it would establish the day as a recognized federal holiday. The senator says about 80% of Americans celebrate Easter. That sounds about right. And adding a holiday for this is, in his words, pro-family. And he says it would also help the economy by encouraging more travel for the holiday. We're going to go into more depth on this in just a little bit. So do we need another holiday? And if so, is this the appropriate one? I'm all for more days off. Don't get me wrong.
Yes.
Or if we end up working like here, our bosses, bank us an extra day. So that even if we're here on a holiday, I get the day off at some point as well. So, I mean, there's the immediate, hey, I'll take another day off. But
heck yeah.
Is this culturally significant to the point where we should be putting a holiday? And let's go into more depth. But, initial thoughts?
Yeah, I mean, I had thought a long time ago that, I found it weird that Easter wasn't a holiday. Certainly not even as big a deal as Christmas, because at least within the Christian religion, Easter's the bigger deal.
I was gonna say Easter's more important than Christmas.
Yeah.
Theologically speaking, Easter should be more important than Christmas.
Yeah, but I guess people like Coca-Cola and Santa Claus more than the Easter Bunny. And
Yeah,
chocolate,
you're right. It's like you can't sell as much chocolate eggs as you can the various presents that you have to put on the tree, right? So I mean, I guess there's that.
Yeah. So, but that's always what even like when I was a little kid, I even I figured out, I'm like, wait a minute, shouldn't Easter be the big deal?
Yeah.
Once I kind of understood the basics of it.
Same.
But yeah, that's that's on us.
Maybe that's a preacher's kid.
It's a preacher's kid. Exactly.
Excuse me, Father.
And somebody's saying, wait a minute, Mike, after that last segment, you're a preacher's kid?
Yeah. Me too.
We end up one way or the other. We either end up the good kids like Gabe, or we end up like me.
And making fun of rockets and going to the Snorty Horse.
That's right. Snorty Horse Man, the legend of the Snorty Horse. Find that on the podcast.
Yeah.
Well. Okay. The Blues are in the playoffs, baby.
Woo!
Yes. Last night's 6-1 win over Utah in the last game of the regular season clinched the wild card spot. 4 different Blues scored in the first period alone. I mean, basically, they just came out, man, all guns a-blazing.
Just whooping them.
Yeah, four goals in the first period, and then they did not score in the second, but Jordan Kyrou added 2 goals in the third. The Blues are going to end up being matched against Winnipeg in the first round of the playoffs. Winnipeg, of course, winning the President's Cup this season, and the Blues have the second wild card spot. So that's where that matchup is. Basically, the Blues are the last team in. Winnipeg is the first team in. This is the first time since 2022 that the Blues have been in the playoffs. They made it to 6 games, and they lost in the playoffs in 6 games. Winnipeg obviously is going to have home ice advantage on that. And then we should have I think the schedule's already set, but we'll get into that next day or two once they're getting a little bit closer there. Okay, baseball. The Astros even up the series against the Cardinals on Tuesday. Final score at Busch Stadium was 2-0. This is normally where I put in the highlights of what Cardinals did what. It was a 2-0 game. The Cardinals didn't score. There are no highlights for me to describe for you. Nothing happened. The deciding game of that series starts this afternoon at 12:15. You can catch that on FanDuel, and then after that, I think it's the Cardinals hitting the road. I think they've got a road trip after this, but we'll have that update for you tomorrow morning as well.
Spring storms are on the way, and your home needs to be ready. At Connor Roofing, we specialize in roofing, siding, and gutters to protect your home from the elements. Don't wait for leaks or damage to strike. Our expert team will ensure your home stays safe and secure all season long. Call Connor Roofing today at 314-375-7475 for an inspection so you can enjoy the beauty of spring leak-free. Look us up at ConnorRoofing.com. That's CONNER Roofing.com. And remember to count on Connor.
Hey, St. Louis, summer's on its way, and if your AC isn't ready, you could be in for a long, sweaty ride. This is Chris Arps, and before you crank up that air conditioner, you need to call my friends over at Elite Comfort Experts. Right now, they're offering an AC performance evaluation for just $79. Yeah, $79 to get you a full system check from your hometown comfort experts. No gimmicks, just guarantees. Call Elite Comfort Experts at 636-887-0971. Tell them Chris Arps sent you, or visit EliteComfortExperts.com.
Jewels on Hampton and St. Louis Hills is paying some of the highest prices on gold, silver, diamonds, semi-precious colored stones, coins, flatware, and fine watches on site. Jewels on Hampton is a premier jeweler featuring Alvanza's jewel art designs with an exquisite selection of diamonds, semi-precious stone jewelry, and vintage watches. Their expert design team can restyle your jewelry to today's contemporary style. They also do jewelry and watch repair. Need extra cash? Jewels on Hampton is paying some of the highest prices on gold, silver, diamonds, semi-precious colored stones, coins, flatware, and fine watches. Bring in your collectibles and clocks and sports memorabilia and figurines too. Jewels on Hampton, 4506 Hampton, just 3 blocks south of Chippewa, and jewelsonhampton.com. Call them at 314-752-5000, 314-752-5000, and jewelsonhampton.com. Jewels on Hampton.
KLGY HD3 Clayton, K270BW Bellefonte, KNBS Bowling Green. This is News Talk STL at 1019, 94.1, and always streaming at newstalkstl.com.
I'm Rich Thomason. Senator Chris Van Hollen of Maryland leading the way as Democrats rally around an illegal alien, an alleged MS-13 gangbanger deported by the Trump administration to his native El Salvador. Van Hollen announcing a planned visit to El Salvador to check on the well-being of Kilmar Abrego Garcia, now in a Salvadoran prison. Quoting Van Hollen, it should be a priority of the U.S. government to secure his safe release. New York State's top law enforcement officer reportedly the subject of scrutiny by the feds.
According to the New York Post, New York Attorney General Letitia James has been hit with a federal criminal referral for alleged mortgage fraud by the Federal Housing Finance Agency and securing a loan for a home in Norfolk, Virginia. James is accused of claiming through her representative that the property would be her principal residence. Primary residences receive better rates, but the law states that the New York Attorney General, James, is required by law to have her primary residence in the state of New York. James is also accused of misrepresenting a 5-unit property in Brooklyn as a 4-unit property to receive better interest rates. The referral also includes a claim that James filed papers that listed herself and her father as a married couple. Keisha Stevens reporting.
Making the case for extending President Trump's 2017 tax cuts, making them permanent, Heritage Foundation economist, former Trump advisor Stephen Moore.
That if we don't get this done, the average family is going to face a $3,000 tax increase next year. And I know I keep saying that over and over again, but I want to make sure people understand the urgency of getting this done.
He tells the Salem Radio Network it's up to Congress to get it done, although some Republicans are resisting.
Because politicians like to spend money. They don't like to save money.
Elon Musk's Doge team touting its latest finding, hundreds of millions in fraudulent unemployment claims. On Wall Street this morning, the Dow futures down 18 points. More on these stories at townhall.com.
It's official. Newsmax has become a news giant. It's even listed on the New York Stock Exchange. Over 40 million Americans regularly turn to Newsmax for the news they need to know. They're tuning into the Newsmax channel on all major cable systems. They watch Newsmax 2 on all streaming platforms. They go online to newsmax.com for breaking headlines. Millions more have downloaded the free Newsmax app on their smartphone and home TV. Reuters says Newsmax is one of the top news brands in America. Even President Trump says Newsmax is terrific, and he's watching. Tens of millions of Americans like you have made the switch to Newsmax for the news they can trust. So make the switch today. You won't ever look back.
The UK government.
From the Michaels Flooring Outlet Weather Center.
Morning sunshine makes way for more clouds this afternoon and this evening, up to 73 for the high. And then things turn a little active. This evening and tonight, couple of showers possible, maybe a rumble of thunder, down to 54 for the low. Thursday, scattered rain and storms around mainly in the morning, up to 77. And let's watch for some potentially strong storms late Friday with warmer highs in the mid-80s. And waves of rain this weekend mean that Easter egg hunts will probably stay inside. That's your first alert forecast. I'm meteorologist Matt Chambers.
This hour of News Talk STL is brought to you by Stifel, serving investors for over 130 years. Contact your Stifel financial advisor at stifel.com. That's STIFEL.com.
Join the 10th annual Jeff Hansen Memorial Foundation Sporting Clay event, a day of remembrance and support for our veterans. Saturday, May 17th at Black Hawk Valley Hunting Preserve in Old Monroe. Compete individually or as a team. Breakfast, lunch, and shells included. By participating, you're not just shooting clay, you're supporting Freedom 13 and our veterans. Reserve your spot by May 9th. Learn more and register today at jeffhansenmemorialfoundation.com.
Hi, Kirk Hilsinger here, and I'm the new chairman of the St. Louis Republican Central Committee. I invite you to our meetings that take place the first Thursday of every month at 3710 Hampton Avenue. You can stay connected with us to learn more about how you can get involved, make your voice heard, and contribute to our shared goals. Together, we can make a difference in the city of St. Louis and the state of Missouri. For more info, visit our new website at stl-gop.com. That's stl-gop.com.
Paid for by St. Louis City Republican PAC. Curtis Farber, Treasurer.
Mike Ferguson.
You play ball like a girl!
Gabe Pfeiffer.
I triple dog dare you!
Get up! Get up! Can't you hear the alarm?
Get up, St. Louis.
So it's time to get out of bed. Pour yourself the greatest cup of Kofifi the world has ever seen. Rise up with one voice Drain the swamp and take back our country. Today's the day we're going to do it, and it's time to do it right now, believe me.
Mike Ferguson in the morning on News Talk STL.
This is your cousin.
All right, what advice do you have for the new mayor? Okay, so the reality is that the city's inability to govern itself is pulling the rest of the region down and has been doing that for years without any question. By the way, Torch the Tax event tonight with Glenn Jacobs. All of you who have your tickets, I'm giving you a thumbs up on video right now watching. Love to see you there tonight. My suggestion, of course, the doors open at 6 o'clock. If you can make it out to the streets of St. Charles before then, there's some really good restaurants all the way, around there.
Yeah, make a night of it
in that area. Make an evening of it. Or you can just get there at 6 o'clock. We're going to have a wait staff there, at least for drinks. I don't know that they're going to have food at the Funny Bone, but there are restaurants all around there as well. So come on out and have a great time. If you want to meet Glenn, you can do it. Once we're done with all of our conversations and Q&As and all that kind of stuff, and yes, wrestling questions are okay to bring those. This is not going to be a stuffy affair. This is going to be a lot of fun. There's going to be a meet and greet line, and he'll autograph one thing for you for free. And then get a picture with him if you want. But we're going to try to keep that line moving. But you get to meet Kane tonight. Get to meet Glenn Jacobs.
And for those that are as excited as I am,
nobody's as excited.
Nobody is as excited
maybe
as
Tony
I am.
Colombo.
Maybe.
Yeah.
Ooh, maybe me and him can duke it out over that. But the parking is kind of sparse in some of the areas in that plaza. So if you want to get there on time, get there early.
Yeah. Now there is a parking garage down by the movie theater. I mean, it's not too bad of a walk. Maybe, maybe 400 or 500 yards, but if that. But yeah, right around the Funny Bone, you're right. There's just kind of those lanes, and then there's the parking down by the Quick Trip down there. But yeah, it's gonna be a good time.
And best I can tell, it's gonna be a pleasant evening to take a walk around there. So yeah.
And then maybe the last night you're going to get out for a while because apparently thunderstorms are moving in on Thursday and Friday. So anyway, it's going to be a great time. Look forward to seeing everybody there. Just going to be a lot of fun. I've been looking forward to this, and our friends from Americans for Prosperity as well. And then, by the way, before Glenn decides to, he told us he was going to go visit some of his family here in the area. He is going to the Capitol tomorrow to visit with lawmakers and executives on, yes, you can eliminate the income tax and still have a functioning government.
It's possible, guys.
Yeah, you can
for
do
real.
It. Okay, so it's no longer Mayor-elect Kara Spencer. It is Mayor Kara Spencer. And so she outlined her main speech or her main priorities in the inauguration ceremonies yesterday because she was sworn in about noon, 12:30, something like that. And so some of the things that she laid out, and by the way, I'm actually not one of those who says, well, this has to be number one. This can't be number three. That can't be, if your entire city has gone to crap, does it really matter which turd you clean up first?
Wow. That's a great analogy. That's a great analogy. Wow.
You're a preacher's kid, right?
Yeah.
That's why we get along.
That's right. Yeah. And yes, Baptist preacher's kid. Okay, so she said first she wants to improve openness and accountability in the mayor's office, starting with basically an open door policy, meaning that she and her staff are intending to meet with community stakeholders and as many people as want to meet with her. Okay, well that's a pretty easy goal to put out there.
Yeah.
And that's a good thing.
Yeah.
Now, does that mean everybody's going to walk up to City Hall and say, I want to meet with the mayor right now? Well, good luck with that.
Yeah. I mean, there's transparency only goes so far, but at the very least, she's pledging not to be, this secretive a-hole.
Right. But it also means that you have your neighborhood association meeting. She or a top lieutenant will probably be out there. Or you probably could walk in and say, I have a complaint. And so the way to implement this is you have a number of people who are at a liaison level. And it's like, okay, you may have to wait in line, but they'll talk to you.
I imagine she might even have, sort of town hall-ish events inviting those, sort of community leaders in to ask questions and get the answers that they need for their community. So I'm hopeful that she knows what she's doing in that regard.
Right. 101 straight up says, advice to the new mayor, don't be a Tish. Don't be Tishara.
Don't be a Tish.
Yep.
Oh, I kind of like that.
Oh my goodness.
Don't tish people off.
Don't tish people off.
And she was, she's doing, meaning Kyra Spencer's doing, I think, the right thing in as far as optics and democratic politics. And that is, thanking the former mayor, saying, I welcome your counsel and all that. Now, whether she does or not, I don't know. But she is walking a little bit of a racial divide tightrope there. And she threw out some red meat to the hard left. We've got a history of redlining. We've got a history of discrimination. And and so she had to, talk about the race stuff a little bit. And she did during her speech.
You got to signal the virtue.
Yes, you got to do that. And so it looks like the transition is going to be smooth. Former Mayor Tashara Jones did not sabotage anything. She didn't show up in the corner with her arms crossed. Nope.
Mean mugging.
Nope. Nothing like she did at one of the campaign events.
Yes, literally.
So once she's lost, Tashara Jones has accepted it. And, so the transition's been fine since then. Okay. So she also says that she wants to focus on delivering the city services. So openness and transparency, the first thing she said. Next thing she said was city services. Again, I'm not real worried about what order these are that she's ticked them off.
Right, yeah.
You can do multiple things at once.
Yes.
The city services to me, though, is one that may be the most important that she deliver. Even more so than the next one, which is going to be public safety. And I know that sounds weird as much as we harp on that, but I got a reason for saying that. But with these basic city services, if you get to a point where people don't notice it anymore, you've done the job.
Yes, that's true.
And then the next campaign season comes around, you remind people that you don't notice it anymore and remember how bad that was before. And then what happens is voters go, oh yeah, that's right.
Yep.
Hey, it's working.
Yeah. And there's also a matter of, in terms of public safety, that some of these things matter. The appearance of the street actually matters to how the public perceives the neighborhood. If you see a certain area and it's clean, if you come through a clean area of the city, just on a psychological level, I think criminals think it's like, no, there are people kind of taking care of this. There are people watching this. This isn't the place where I can do the type of business I want to do.
And even if it doesn't register in those words, something registers.
Right. Exactly.
Yeah.
Well, there was a study. It's the broken window study.
Broken window theory.
Wherever you see a broken window, you're more likely to experience crime because it's clear nobody really cares enough to do anything about it. So. And I think to your point, that's the best way of doing it. If I can sit there and say, wait, wasn't this used to be really bad and nasty? And like, oh, they're doing something.
It's clean.
Yeah, right. It looks nice. The potholes are filled.
Right, exactly. And so if people of the city get to the point where, oh, there's a pothole, I better call that in, and then don't worry about it because it's going to get filled in, then you're delivering. These are the basic municipal things that need to be done. Okay, then she said, public safety. Okay, now here's why I say I don't really care about the ranking, but why I think the basic services might be even more important is that this new law is putting the state board in charge of law enforcement. Now, City Hall still has a lot to do with this. It's not like they're being completely cut out of the process. Not even just that they have to fund it. But the fact of the matter is that the state legislature and the governor have said, you have failed as a city, which they have. We are taking back control and appointing this oversight board of people from St. Louis. And that's going to be, in charge. But there are still plenty of things, initiatives, crime prevention, all sorts of things that that City Hall can do. And so that's where I think she has an opportunity to excel. She was actually asked about that lawsuit. And of course, it was less than 24 hours old. And she gave a very smart answer saying, I haven't been briefed on that. I'm going to be briefed on it. I will get back to you, but I support local control. And so she kind of played that well.
Yeah.
So, but at some point she's going to have to take a position on the lawsuit itself because she's the mayor now. So we'll see what she has to say about that. But with public safety, she is going to be able to divorce her office from the actual day-to-day oversight of the police department, since the board, which she's going to be on, is there. So what can she do? She can focus more on the prevention aspect of that,
right?
The building of the community aspect of that, to dealing with the elements that go into that. And then the other thing, obviously, economic development.
Yes. And that's the next thing. You can't develop the economy of the area without, first of all, having confidence in the services and having a safe environment. And I think, I mean, the more I think about it, I think the order in which we're discussing this is actually important.
It really is.
Mhm.
I mean, for instance, I mean, if you're looking at the whole region, I mean, I live in the county, you live in the county, you
Mhm.
live in the county too, I think, right? St. Louis
Yep.
County, yep. And so this does affect all of us.
Mhm.
And it's easy just to kick the sick puppy, which is the city.
Mhm.
And we do that, and it deserves it, because it's biting us.
Yes.
And I look at, okay, well, what's best for the entire region? A merger is not
No,
what's
gosh,
best
no,
by
no.
any stretch. But should we be saying, hey, you know what? When the Enterprise Center starts to get a little old, should we look at something in St. Charles? Should we look at something in St. Louis County? Should we look at something in Maryland Heights? There's been talk about, there was talk about where do you put that soccer stadium?
Right.
Well, there's a big push. It's got to be downtown. I don't buy that the city is the economic engine of Missouri anymore.
No, certainly not right now.
No.
Now, if they reform themselves, if they
They could
actually
be.
come back, they could be again. That's
Yeah.
true.
Yeah. I would argue that Clayton, St. Louis County, and St. Charles County are more of that. than the
I think so
actual
too.
City is at
Mhm.
this point. So you got some thoughts, unsolicited advice for the new mayor? Let me know. Send us a note here on social media. Give me a call 314-912-1019. Just ahead here, Senator Eric Schmidt says we need another holiday. Should we have a new federally recognized holiday of Easter? Let's talk about that right around 7:20.
Can't you hear the alarm? Get up, get up. This is your cousin.
I think you all know that I've always felt the 9 most terrifying words in the English language are, I'm from the government and I'm here to help.
Colombo and Company.
Exactly 1 month till the end of the session. The clock is ticking in Jeff City. We'll get an update Wednesday from Missouri political insider Rodney Boyd, and we'll open Close's cabinet.
Live and local weekdays at 2 on News Talk STL.
I'm Dr. TJ, owner of the Institute of Natural Health, co-owner of Optimal Nutraceuticals, and the host of Wellness One. Wellness One is designed to cut through the nonsense and provide you common sense science-based information regarding health and wellness. On the show, we discuss topics like thyroid health, gut health, hormone optimization, and many others. Our show airs Saturdays at 10 a.m. and 2 p.m. and Sundays at 11 a.m. and 3 p.m. right here on Newstalk STL. And you can visit us at inhstl.com. That's inhstl.com.
McGuire Moving is silver certified, which means they are great at relocating senior citizens. In fact, McGuire is a household name because McGuire understands the stress involved when moving older adults. So if you or family members need help moving, I highly recommend McGuire Moving. 314-241-0600. 241-0600. Get a free in-home estimate. McGuireMoving.com.
Attention off-road enthusiasts. Iron Bear Customs has the strongest bumpers on the planet. Plus, brush guards, lift kits, and custom cages for all vehicles. Visit IronBearCustoms.com and mention Newstalk STL for 10% off. Iron Bear Customs, built tough for the toughest terrain.
Discover Patriot Powder Coating, your family-owned specialist in Pacific. From small jobs to big projects, we got you covered. Visit our showroom or call 636-551-0377. Mention Newstalk STL for 10% off.
Hey, Colombo here for Intervine, a great local company that has customers all across the country due to the quality of their products. Intervine has the best flashlights, lanterns, headlamps, and even batteries, including the new Monster 2000 Lumen waterproof lantern and the Sentinel 2000 self-defense flashlight. Our home and vehicles are full of great Intervine products, and right now you can shop their website and get 25% off your entire purchase just by using my name, Tony, as your promo code. That's promo code Tony at Intervine.com.
The Democrat Party, you're going to have to go back toward the center.
News, analysis, and opinion.
I've never called a talk show before, but this just irked me.
1019 and 94.1 News Talk STL.
Good morning, St. Louis. Hey, it's Vince from The Vince Show right here on News Talk STL every weeknight at 8. Right now, it's back to Mike Ferguson on 1019 and 94.1 News Talk STL.
All right, should next Monday, this coming Monday, actually be a federal holiday because of Easter? Yeah, one of Missouri's U.S. senators thinks so. This is really an interesting question. First, I saw it, I thought, okay, it's headline, that's interesting. And then I got to think about it, I'm like, well, that's an interesting discussion. And Eric Schmidt is the one who's proposing it. 7:20 right now. By the way, Flashback Friday's coming up. And what 80s music do you want to hear as bump music this week? And by the way, we think that for those of you who are part of our Rumble conversation, which is a lot of fun. I mean, Gabe and Jerome are watching Facebook and all of them. I've got Rumble up. One of our regular watchers is Jay Monty, and he says that he's actually in the Pour Some Sugar on Me video because he was at the concert where they filmed the video, and we found him.
Yes.
It's incredibly 80s.
I'm going to put it on stream for everybody that's watching the stream now.
There you go.
Yeah. So yes, he described himself having a plaid shirt, right?
Plaid shirt with a baseball cap.
White baseball cap.
Looking
wearing
redneck.
it backwards.
Yeah, wearing backwards, looking redneck.
He gave us permission, by the way.
Yes.
So we found him.
Yes.
So now we know what Jay Monty looked like 40 years ago.
Yes, exactly.
Now we know what he looks like now. No, we don't.
No.
I don't look anything like I did 40 years ago.
Oh my gosh, that's funny.
Oh my god. Yeah. So get those requests in for this week here. Okay. So Senator Eric Schmidt proposes to make Easter Monday, in other words, the day after Easter, a federal holiday. Okay. So this is interesting here. So at first I thought, well, getting some headlines, it's Easter, but here's what he's saying. He said, I proudly introduced a bill to establish Easter Monday as a federal holiday in the United States. Despite only 2/3 of Americans identifying as Christian, more than 80% of Americans celebrate Easter each year. The current lack of a federal Easter holiday significantly limits Americans' ability to celebrate with friends, family, and church communities. And he pointed out that Easter Monday, and I think I actually have not heard of this term before, Pasquetta, is a national holiday in several other countries around the world. And there's really no rhyme or reason with some of these countries here as to which ones. And the Catholic Church, and I'm not Catholic, so I didn't know this either. So Catholic friends, let me know if this is being portrayed accurately. It says here in the Newsmax article I'm reading about it, it says the Roman Catholic Church refers to the day after Easter as Monday of the Angel, referring to the angel that cried out to Mary Magdalene from the empty tomb, he is risen.
Right.
And so Monday of the Angel is, I've got a lot of Catholic friends. I've never heard that reference before.
No.
And so I don't know, but he describes the potential new holiday as pro-family, saying it would allow families who may be separated by distance to more easily separate Easter together. And then he says, by the way, if you have an actual holiday, people are more likely to travel, and that probably would be good for the economy as well.
Yeah, I mean, there are a couple of interesting points kind of in there with the idea of family and the economy. I find those aspects of the arguments kind of fascinating, especially in this time where family is a sort of a diminishing concept in American life, in Western life, at large, really in the world. You got the falling birth rates, the falling rates of family formation. People aren't even bothering getting married anymore.
Yeah.
So the idea of,
by the way, we're talking about that on Friday with one of the people who wrote that. There was an article in World Magazine about that, written by Hunter Baker, and so we've got Hunter on the show on Friday.
And these are important things because we talk about, especially on the right, how the nuclear family is kind of the base unit of civilization, and we're failing to create those now. So is it now then on government at least to contribute to revitalizing that aspect of society? I think maybe so. This type of thing may be the type of intervention that I'd be okay with.
See, now here's what's interesting is because when I first, when Gabe gets in and when Jerome gets in, I said, okay, here are the kind of things that I'm looking at for today. And your first reaction was, yeah. And then you thought about it.
Yeah.
And now you're like, well, wait a minute.
Yeah.
Because my first thought was, listen, I've known Eric Schmidt a long time, from the time he was in the state legislature to, his statewide offices. So, I've known him a long time, and I thought, okay, a little political, gamesmanship, getting some headlines, and it's not really a serious thing. And then I'm thinking about it, I'm like, actually, I can see people getting on board with something like this. I think we have 10 or 12 federal holidays now.
Yeah.
Something like that. So we basically just under one a month on average.
Mm-hmm.
And you may say, okay, but do we want another federal holiday specifically at a religious observance?
Well, we've kind of already done that.
We've done that. See, we do that with Christmas.
We do that with Christmas.
And even though, the federal, government says, well, we don't take a religious position on it. But it is. I mean, it's the holiday. And at some point, then, you're going to have some dingbat somewhere goes like, well, I want my religion to be a federal holiday too. If you're going to honor this one,
try.
Yeah.
Go ahead.
Yeah.
Please.
And I'm all for either getting another day off or getting another comp day. Believe me, I'm sure the boss is like, "Shut up, Mike." Stop it. But it's interesting that he's saying it's both pro family and pro economy by adding basically a travel day.
Mm-hmm.
And then something you said a little bit earlier when we were chatting about this, I thought, well, wait a minute, why not just make it Good Friday?
Yeah. I mean, originally
that seems easier.
It seems easier. It seems the more likely kind of idea because Pasquetta, or Pasquetta, however you want to pronounce it.
I've actually never heard of it.
It's Italian. That's an Italian word that means Little Easter, essentially.
Okay.
So it's basically celebrating that Easter Monday. It was created in the post-war period, basically just to add a new long weekend. Essentially,
got it. Okay.
they had some morale problems post World War II, I imagine, in Italy.
That happens when you pick the wrong team.
Yeah, pick the wrong team. But the Good Friday is one that is more recognized, at least in our version.
And it's because of the Bible story, because of the theology.
Exactly. So I mean, and it makes the most sense from that perspective. But in terms of the economic aspect of it, and in terms of the support of the family get together kind of idea, I can see the Easter Monday being one of those things. Or I mean, if you want to do the whole Good Friday thing, maybe just add a Good Friday get together instead of the Easter itself.
Hey guys, something's going on right now at the White House. So AG Pam Bondi is now addressing the media. We're going to have an update for you here in a few minutes. Something, they're taking legal actions against the state of Maine for violating Title IX. Riley Gaines is standing right behind the Attorney General. And also Linda McMahon is off to the side there. She's off camera right now, but she was there. So something's going on.
Yeah.
That's being announced right now. We've got an information segment coming up here in a second with Larry Connor's commentary. But something is happening, which I'm going to have for you here right around 7:35 or so. In addition to the other stuff we're talking about, I just want to mention that because it's literally happening right now.
I gotta say, they have these looks on their faces, the kind of smiles on their face. That means they're about to bring it.
I was going to say they've got that. Yeah, they've got that. And I got to tell you, because Pam Bondi got a little bit of a slow start, so she's doing stuff now. But they've got that look like, this is what it looks like when I'm about to kick your butt.
Yes.
Yes.
This is the find out part.
Yeah.
Like I'm trying to remain calm on the outside, but there's a storm brewing inside. Yeah.
We've gotten to the find out part because you effed around Maine, apparently.
Yeah.
Looking at you.
So we're going to be digging into that over the next few minutes. So I just want to get that. And I didn't mean to break the train of our discussion here, but so this is literally happening as we speak right now. Okay, so with the Easter thing, now, by the way, have you ever been to a Tenebrae service?
Tenebrae, no.
Yeah. Okay.
What is that?
I went to a church long time ago, and the pastor of the church, and he died years ago. He made the argument, and a Tenebrae service is not unheard of, but it's basically a funeral for Jesus before you celebrate the resurrection on Sunday.
Interesting.
Now the churches I grew up in never did that.
What day was that on?
It was usually done on Good Friday.
Oh, on Good Friday.
It was done on Good Friday. And so the case that he made was, you can better rejoice the resurrection if you mourn what we did, we being people, what the death and the crucifixion. I thought, well, that's interesting.
Yeah, it is.
I can see why it didn't catch on. It's really a bummer.
It's a downer.
It's a downer.
Yes, there is.
But I mean, some people do it, but that's one of the reasons that somebody may say, well, maybe not on the Friday,
on Good Friday, yeah.
But the Friday would make more sense from a holiday perspective,
right?
But now he's saying basically a long weekend, the way you would have, a lot of the long weekends we have on other stuff, which I frankly enjoy.
Yeah. I mean, it'd be similar to like a early Memorial Day weekend. It feels like, you know what I mean? Because Memorial Day weekend is very much it's the start of
Right. Summer.
Summer barbecue season, all these or start of summer, and you got to have a barbecue. In Italy, that's really how they celebrate. They have barbecues on the Monday after
Which is
Easter.
funny. It's also how you do it in Georgia.
Oh, really?
Yeah, and Kansas City.
Okay, all right.
Yeah.
Well, maybe there's something to it.
Now, what do Harvard and Pepsi have in common?
Oh.
They are both getting hate, and they're both under attack, and rightly so.
All right.
Coming up with Larry Connors.
I don't know what Pepsi did. This is gonna be interesting.
From the Michaels Flooring Outlet Weather Center.
Morning sunshine makes way for more clouds this afternoon and this evening, up to 73 for the high. And then things turn a little active. This evening and tonight, couple of showers possible, maybe a rumble of thunder, down to 54 for the low. Thursday, scattered rain and storms around, mainly in the morning, up to 77. And let's watch for some potentially strong storms late Friday with warmer highs in the mid-80s. And waves of rain this weekend mean that Easter egg hunts will probably stay inside. That's your first alert forecast. I'm meteorologist Matt Chambers.
Hey, if you're 50 or older, you do not want to take any risk with your money. In fact, you want Leslie Consulting. My friend Bob Leslie can show you a gain and retain plan. Means that you never lose. Plus, you get up to a 20% bonus on day one. Leslie Consulting, a leader in brokerage and risk management. 314-721-0066. LeslieConsulting.com.
Larry Connors Commentary, brought to you by Vincent's Jewelers, offering a wide selection of jewelry, including lab-grown diamonds, affordable earrings, bracelets, necklaces, and rings, up to 75% off their natural counterparts. Visit VincentsJewelers.com. This is Larry Connors Commentary on News Talk STL.
The Trump administration told Harvard and others, if you don't drop your DEI programs, you will lose federal funding. Well, in reaction, the Harvard president wrote a message saying Harvard will not surrender its independence or relinquish constitutional rights. Excuse me, what constitutional right guarantees that DEI should be taught? What independence does Harvard lose by dropping DEI? That's a nonsense reaction. But it got a real response from the Trump administration. Trump put a freeze on $2.2 billion federal money for Harvard grants and contracts. Now, Harvard has money in endowments, but it really wants that $2.2 billion in federal dollars. Trump wants to cut DEI out, not just in schools, but the military and, of course, private business. Al Sharpton is currently trying to pressure PepsiCo to keep DEI. He says, if you don't, prepare for a boycott on Pepsi, Doritos, and all your other products. Maybe Sharpton and the Harvard president can share a drink other than Pepsi and decide, how do we get out of this mess that we created?
Get more Larry Connors on Larry Connors USA.
Tonight at 6 on News Talk STL.
Hey, Tim Jones here. For 50 years, St. Louis homeowners have trusted one name with their outdoor dreams, Hydro Dynamics. From custom irrigation systems to stunning outdoor lighting, from expert drainage solutions to beautiful hardscapes, they transform ordinary yards into extraordinary dreamscapes. With certified experts that work with you to bring your vision to life, delivering unparalleled service every step of the way. Ready to make your dreamscape a reality? Visit hydrodynamicscore.com. That's hydrodynamicscore.com.
At Complete Forestry Mulching, we're not just clearing land, we're creating possibilities. Brian Akers, owner and longtime supporter of News Talk STL, and our team helps property owners reclaim their land by eliminating invasive species and unwanted brush. Whether you're creating hunting paths, expandable usable space, or establishing clear property lines, we'll transform challenging terrain into pristine landscapes. Our state-of-the-art equipment doesn't just clear, it creates a protective layer of natural mulch, preventing erosion and keeping your soil healthy for years to come. Take control of your property today and save $500 on a full day of forestry mulching services. But hurry, this offer won't last long. Call Complete Forestry Mulching at 314-805-9902, 314-805-9902, or find us on Facebook. Complete Forestry Mulching. Together, let's clear the path to your property's future.
Hey
Hey, everybody. This is Elizabeth Kaiser. Please join me on my new show, Straight Lines with Elizabeth Kaiser.
On News Talk STL.
You know the world today. People seem to be rooted more firmly in diverse ideologies more than ever.
SR1 Sundays.
Why is that? You know, the shortest distance between 2 points of view is a straight line. Straight Lines with Elizabeth Kaiser.
Sunday nights at 8.
Right here on 1019 94.1 News Talk STL.
If you have a phone, you have a radio.
Wherever I'm at, home, car, wherever.
Download the all-new News Talk STL app.
If you have a phone, you have a radio. Just the convenience on the phone.
Streaming live on the mobile app.
Love the new app.
And listen anytime.
Everywhere.
Anywhere.
Hey everyone, this is State Senator Nick Schroer. I am the host of Stand and Fight every Sunday night. Right now, let's hear more of Mike Ferguson in the Morning Show here on News Talk STL.
And Maine School Administrative District number 51 for permitting males and girls sports and denying female-only intimate facilities. The department's investigation confirmed Maine's Title IX violations, and we offered Maine leaders multiple opportunities to change their policy and to protect women in sports, and they have refused. So now as the DOJ begins their enforcement actions, I hope Governor Mills will recognize that her political feud with the president will deprive the students in her state of much more than the right to fair sporting events. After all, compliance with federal civil rights law is a universal prerequisite for receiving federal funding.
Okay, that is Secretary of Education Linda McMahon live at the White House. That's happening right now, where Attorney General Pam Bondi just announced a lawsuit and legal action against the entire state of Maine for their lack of compliance with Title IX. Since now the federal government recognizes Title IX to protect actual women as women, and they have removed, obviously, the Biden aberration of claiming that boys who think they're girls can be considered girls. And so what's happening right now is the Trump administration is suing Maine over, among other things, biological males in women's spaces. Standing right behind Linda McMahon is the Attorney General Pam Bondi. Riley Gaines is right behind her. Here's what the Attorney General has to say.
I'd now like to introduce to you State Rep Laurel Libby from Maine, who has been a champion for these young women in the state of Maine. And thank you, Representative.
Okay, so there we go. So now we're going to go back to here. So this is not just about Maine, guys.
Oh, yeah.
This is sending a message to California. This is sending a message to Illinois.
Absolutely.
Yes. This is sending a message to Denver. I mean, this is, this is sending a message basically everywhere, saying we're not messing around. I got to tell you, this is one of those fights that I did not expect Donald Trump to prioritize, and I'm impressed.
Oh yeah, well, this is like I said, this is the find out part,
right?
of the equation, because we had that moment. You had that moment where I guess it was the governor of Maine, governor of Maine, who. She wanted to show out for her people. She wanted to, virtue signal and about how they're going to protect the trans kids or whatever. Right. And she had her moment, and she effed around in that moment, I think. And do we even have the sound for that?
I understand Maine. Is Maine here? The governor of Maine? Well, are you not going to comply with it? I'm complying with state and federal laws. We are the federal law. Well, you better do it. You better do it, because you're not going to get any federal funding at all if you don't. And by the way, your population, even though it's somewhat liberal, although I did very well there, your population doesn't want men playing in women's sports. So you better comply, because otherwise you're not getting any federal funding. Every state, good. I'll see you in court. I look.
Yeah. So
yeah, she had her moment.
Right.
Yep. I'll see you in court.
So she got called out.
Yeah, that was the F around part.
Yeah, this is the find out part. Right.
So Pam Bondi said, okay.
Stupid game, stupid prizes.
Yeah, exactly.
Precisely. And this is one of those that is going to end up eventually at the U.S. Supreme Court. It's probably going to take a couple of years to do it.
Mm-hmm.
Here's the thing is we know that even among the centrist Americans, even many on the left are starting to admit, yeah, the fringe left is wrong about this.
Yeah.
The loudest voices make it sound like this is a divided 50-50 issue in the country. It is not.
Not even close to that.
And I think the Trump administration right now is 100% correct in calling this what it is, which is a civil rights issue, which is what Secretary McMahon just said, which is what Attorney General Pam Bondi has said, which is what the president has alluded to. I don't know if he's used those words, but that's the framing they said. And they're right.
Yes, absolutely.
About this.
Like every previous Title IX lawsuit, Title IX violation, and then their following lawsuit were characterized as civil rights issues, as they should be, right? Because it's like Title IX was supposed to be a women's protection system set up particularly for the schools, right? And violations of that are part of civil rights law. So, this is the same. The trans craziness are violations of civil rights laws, just like anything else.
And remember that up until the Biden administration, Title IX explicitly protected women by law,
right?
By the title itself. The Biden administration perverted, and yes, that's a double entendre, and you twisted the words and wanted to add that and say, well, now we're going to recognize gender identity as part of Title IX, which basically meant nobody was protected at all. And the Trump administration fixed that within the first couple of days of the administration. So, they're going to end up probably at some point in front of a left-wing judge, and they're probably going to lose. And it's going to be appealed. At some point, it's going to go to the Supreme Court, where eventually, again, like you said, that's a great way to put it. Maine is about to find out.
Yeah, Virginia Kruta actually made a really good point about this when we had Riley Gaines on the Dr. Toller show a while ago, is that feminists spent so many decades and so much effort fighting the patriarchy and getting them out of their spaces just for modern leftists to invite the patriarchy right back in. And so they're going to find out, I guess.
Yeah. So Riley Gaines at that press, I'm sure she's going to speak at some point, or otherwise she'll be with reporters as well. It's kind of amazing that Riley Gaines, what she's turned into her career, and a career in activism, on this. But she could be commercially cashing in on this far more than she is, but it's clearly a mission on her part. Now, when she gives speeches, I hope she gets paid for it.
Absolutely.
She's got to make a living,
and she's got to pay for security.
She's got to pay for security,
by the way.
In addition, just regular living, living expenses. So in this case right here, it's funny because, Donald Trump, who has a little bit of a mixed history, let's be honest, when it comes to women and the treatment of women over the years. Let's be honest about that. He's actually turning out to be one of the most pro-women presidents that we've ever had.
Oh yeah. Well,
and that sounds weird to say.
Well, think about it this way: if we were to properly characterize, the good feminism and separate it from the bad feminism, first and second, I guess, wave feminism, where there's an equality. The equality aspect, when you're recognizing what women are and that they are special in their own right, kind of idea.
They deserve to be in spaceships.
They deserve to be in spaceships, having a ride in spaceships and toasting whatever. Republicans are now the feminists. Just put it that way. Republicans are now the feminists because the Democrats they're promoting men in all of these spaces. They're promoting men to have priority in women's sports. They're prioritizing the feelings of men over the feelings of women. If you really think about
the safety of women
in all aspects, you got Democrats putting male rapists into female jails over the objections of the women who are there. You've got them putting male boxers into rings with who are the ones who want to protect and value women right now in politics?
Talk about playing the long game. Like, you won't support us as females, fine. We'll start getting men in here. Like, no, women.
It's so crazy. It's so crazy where we are right now. I said it.
Oh, you said it.
I said it.
And the funny thing is that hit me. That hit me. I'm like, Holy crap, you're right.
It's true.
And not the current version. I mean, you look at like the original feminism.
Yeah, real feminism.
Which had its flaws.
Yeah. There were a number of lefty commies in there kind of messing things up.
Yeah,
but the overall idea.
Right. It was essentially, wait a minute, you mean my husband can get a credit card or a mortgage on his own, but I have to have his permission?
Right.
Yeah, that's not right.
Right.
Okay. And I think most people are like, I get it. I mean, it's like, listen, should we have allowed women to drive and vote? I don't know. No, I'm kidding.
That's a joke.
Yeah, I bought my tongue on that one.
My boss's name is Jeff. It's Jeff at News Talk. It was a joke. I keyed. No, but I mean, the first level, basically saying we have the equal rights, and you're not going to go to anybody on the right and have them say, well, no, absolutely not. Men, no, they're not. Abortion is not a women's rights issue. It is a life and death issue.
Yes.
Science has proved that, for those of you who look at science as your religion.
Mm-hmm.
So what you have in this case here is the Trump administration apparently saying this isn't just a cultural aspect. This is a civil rights aspect.
Mm-hmm.
This is a role of government aspect.
Mm-hmm.
And when some level of government is violating somebody else's civil rights, then we have a duty to take action on this.
I love it when government keeps government accountable.
Yeah.
Like that's what's happening here. We don't have government going after a person or an individual who wants to, there's no dude being violated here. Dylan Mulvaney can still be a weirdo if he wants to. There's no federal law preventing him from doing so. But if you want to mess with our kids, if you want to violate the rights of women in these spaces, particularly in education and all these other places, then the government has something to say about it, as they should.
Yeah, a good government.
A good government.
Yeah, not an activist government.
Right.
Mike Ferguson in the morning.
He picked the wrong schoolyard to come into, I have to tell you this.
On News Talk STL.
Michael's Flooring Outlet is sending out an SOS. We're expanding fast and need your help. We need a flooring warehouse expert pronto. We need a flooring scheduler just as fast. Join our growing team at Michael's Flooring Outlet with locations in St. Peter's, Darden Prairie, and Creve Coeur. Don't wait. Visit michaelsflooringoutlet.com and click on careers today. Michael's Flooring Outlet, where great floors begin with great people.
Craving real barbecue, St. Louis? Your search ends here. 4 incredible locations: Bogart's, Dale's Smokehouse, and 2 Pappy's Smokehouse spots, each serving up mouth-watering, slow-smoked perfection. Only the highest quality meats, prepared with love and care by our friendly staff. From ribs to brisket, our full menu has something for everyone. Dine in for lunch or dinner, or let us cater your next event. Bogart's, Dale's Smokehouse, and Pappy's Smokehouse. Where smoke meets delight, every bite is a highlight.
When you're approaching retirement, there are a lot of questions to answer. Do you have enough money to fund your income for life? How should you claim Social Security? And what's your plan for health care and long-term care? Hi, I'm Eric Robert, Director of Investments with the ClearPath Wealth Management Group at Stifel and host of On the Money Saturday mornings at 9 on News Talk STL 1019. Don't leave your retirement to chance. It's crucial to understand and address relevant risks before you retire. Our team can help you get organized, guide you through critical retirement decisions, and create an investment portfolio designed around your needs. To schedule your free retirement plan consultation, go to clearpathinvesting.com. That's clearpathinvesting.com, or call us at 636-695-2650. That's clearpathinvesting.com or 636-695-2650. Stifel Nicholas and Company Incorporated, member SIPC and NYSE.
Get up, St. Louis. It's Mike Ferguson in the morning.
So that's your story for the day.
Mm-hmm.
The Trump administration under Attorney General Pam Bondi is suing the state of Maine. I suspect you're going to hear that on all the programs and certainly on our national news information segments here on News Talk STL throughout the morning here. All right, it is 7:49. That's the breaking news that happened moments ago.
Mm-hmm.
It's you put it best. That's the find out part.
Yep.
That's where it is. I mean, and there were, according to the press release from the Department of Justice, which Gabe's been reading during that entire segment, information segment, they've got the receipts. They're listing out exactly what it is that Maine did to violate Title IX and or other federal laws alongside that. So that's where it's going to be. The reality is that in New England, the Trump administration may very well lose the first round or two, but eventually this is going to the Supreme Court, which is where they want it.
Now, one of the wording that I believe they use is that they said the word claw back, as in they're going to take it away. So were you able to find, is this a matter of they got the funding after Trump issued the declaration to stop all that stuff?
Yeah, I'm not sure exactly what that means specifically. I haven't found any paper on that
because
issue.
One of the things that Secretary McMahon and Attorney General Bondi were talking about was the violations in the federal funding, not just stopping future funding, but clawing back some of the funding that they're saying you used in violation of the law, basically.
Right. Yeah. So, I mean, I think the idea that the idea that makes the most sense is that after the executive order came out from President Trump's office that says this is how we're going to interpret Title IX.
Well, and the Supreme Court has agreed.
And the Supreme Court has agreed
that women means women.
Women means women. Yeah, exactly. The simple things. Once that was established by government in 2025 or 2024,
and common sense back to 0 AD.
Exactly. Then the schools were basically on notice that they had to comply. You had to readjust whatever your rules were and make sure that all that stuff was going to be taken care of. And they didn't. And Maine did not, and they specifically did not, and they refused on multiple occasions to comply. There was even as of April 11th, a resolution agreement that they were supposed to sign to say that yes, we are going to implement this interpretation of Title IX, and here's how we're going to do it, kind of thing. And they were on April 11th, they refused specifically, but via a letter to the White House is like, yeah, we refuse to do this, and 5 days later, now they got the lawsuit. So So I think that funding issue is going to go back to basically the date of the executive order.
So what happens here is going to also come into play in California, in Illinois, Colorado, other deep blue states, probably New York as well.
Where they've made these silly pledges.
Yeah. And you may say, well, wait a minute. Well, why not go after one of those states? Why not go after Newsom? Why go after president? Well, because the governor of Maine pissed the president off, because the president picked a fight with her and she pushed back. And so she basically put herself atop of the target list.
She sure did. She said it to his face in a news conference, like, "Oh," she said, "See you in court."
Did he start it? Yes, but she pushed back, and you don't do that.
No.
Because she would much rather Colorado or California be dealing with this.
Yeah,
but eventually it's going to affect all of them. So this is dropping the hammer in a big way. And like I said, the first round or two, especially in New England, the Trump administration is likely to lose.
Yeah.
But I don't think they care. I think they're saying we're already planning the appeals. This is going to the Supreme Court, and it may take a couple of years. The reality is that this country, and it was as evidenced last November, has turned the corner and has stopped tolerating this. The media wants to make it sound like half this country or the majority of the country has bought into the gender ideology nonsense. That's not the case.
Not even close.
We were scared to fight back for a while. I mean, collectively, I was getting myself in trouble from day one. But a lot of people were scared to fight back. And then we were, tolerance and acceptance and, sympathy. And now we're just like, no, we're done and you're done.
Yeah.
And so now what you've got here is, I think the Trump administration accurately recognizing this is beyond Title IX and federal law. This is a core component of who we are as a society, and it's worth fighting for.
Yeah. See, my experience was a little bit different, though. I don't think a lot of us were necessarily scared per se, at least my generation. It was more so like, we want to give this a try. We want people to feel okay. We want to be more inclusive. And every time we gave them an inch, they wanted another mile. And we kept doing that. And finally got to the point and it's like, really, now this is what you want. You spent all the time saying, stay out of our bedroom. But it's like, now you want into our bathrooms and locker rooms.
Yes.
So
that's exactly
you had your chance and you keep getting worse with it. So let's go back to common sense.
The generational perspective is very interesting too, because, younger generations are more apt to give things a try. It's like, you know what? It's like, why not? It's like, this is a new thing. It's like, and also the we want to protect other people's feelings. That's a new thing.
Right.
That's a new, like,
I've never been plagued with a worry about other people's feelings.
Gen X is built different that way. It was like, we honestly don't, like, I think the phrase "I don't care" is applicable to almost every conversation. It's like, yeah, but that makes me feel bad. I don't care.
Yeah.
It's like, yeah,
that sounds like a you problem.
Yeah, it sounds like a you problem. It's like, but I want to, and even from a libertarian's perspective, that's kind of how it works. It's like, I want to wear a dress. It's like, I don't care.
Yeah, exactly. Yeah, whatever.
It's like, so the I don't care generation got rolled over, I think, in large regards to this, mostly because I think at first it was I don't care if you wear a dress. I don't care if you want to call yourself Susan or whatever. I don't care. But then
I still don't care.
And I still don't. And that's the thing. I still don't care.
If you're an adult, I don't care.
But the thing is, then it was like, well, now you have to clap. Now you have to use the pronouns. Now you have to. It's like, wait, whoa. It's like you're expecting something of me. Now you're expecting something of my daughter.
Yeah.
Oh, heck no. It's like, I don't care how you feel now about my pushback.
Right.
Well, you were also, mock them till they cry, then mock them for crying.
That's true. That's true. That's how you made.
Just built it.
That's how you made tough men.
Well, yeah.
Tough kids, yeah.
That's the other thing is that, I know there are good eggs in each generation and bad eggs in each generation of the current. What's the current like young high school college? What's that generation?
They're Zoomers, I think.
Are they? Is that what they're called?
Gen Z.
I mean,
it might be closer to Gen Alpha because my younger brother is Gen Z and he's out of college. So
okay,
so he's early mid-20s.
Yeah, he's early 20s.
So whatever's after that.
Yeah, I think that is Gen Alpha.
Yeah, Alpha
restarted it.
Alpha's after Z. Yeah.
Okay, got it. Okay. So at this point, is this generation going to be forced to be the next strong generation? Because we've seen what happens with emotionally, spiritually, even physically weak generations. And we've seen the chaos that it leaves all of us in. And let's be honest. I mean, those of us, I was born in 71. I'm 53. So I'm Gen X, but I don't, when did Gen X start?
70s. Oh no, might be 60 something.
68, 69. So I'm not the oldest Gen X, but those of us in Gen X, we're starting to stare down. We're starting to talk about things like retirement.
Yeah.
We're starting to,
65 to 80.
65. Okay. So I'm not, I'm in the middle of Gen X. And so we're now, we've had, our prime.
Yes.
And while I still have many years hopefully to influence things as much as I can, we've got generations after us that have dropped the ball. Again, there are good ones within there, but they've experimented with ideas and things and failed. So what will this next one, will they see this and go, no, it's time to get some bootstraps once again and pull things back up. So this current generation has the opportunity to do. We'll just see who's influenced him the most.
Parents want more choices rather than fewer when it comes to their children's education. And now some Missouri parents will have one more option to get their children the best education available. Low-income students and those with disabilities in Missouri's largest communities can now apply for an Empowerment Scholarship Account, or ESA. With an ESA, the money the state would normally pay to your child's public school goes into an account that you control. You can use the funds for private school tuition, online learning programs, a private tutor, or other approved uses. You can tailor your child's education. For too long, Missouri officials have operated on the mistaken notion that parents only need one choice: their assigned public school based on their address. ESAs put parents in charge. It's school choice at its best, with money following the students to the place that best fits their needs. Learn more at showmeinstitute.org. This Show Me Minute has been brought to you by Show Me Institute and Show Me Opportunity.
Hungry for the best steak you'll ever have?
Head to the heart of Moscow Mills and discover Harry J's, a local landmark and family-owned steakhouse, serving up excellence since '98. From mouth-watering appetizers to decadent desserts, Harry J's has something for everyone. Enjoy our extensive bar selection while soaking in our friendly family atmosphere. Whether dine-in or carry-out, your meal is prepared to perfection. Make the drive to 300 Main Street and treat yourself to a taste of Moscow Mills' finest. Harry J's, more than a steakhouse. We're a tradition.
Hey, Jamie Allman here for the great Window World. You know, just over the last 20 years of Window World being in St. Louis, they've improved the look and thermal efficiency of more than 76,000 customers in St. Louis. Plus, Window World windows come with a lifetime warranty that covers all parts, glass breakage, and labor. And now Window World is now offering 36 months, same as cash financing with approved credit. Call them today at 314-993-1800, 314-993-1800.
KLGY HD3 Clayton, K270BW Bellefontaine, KNBS Bowling Green. This is News Talk STL at 1019, 94.1, and always streaming at
This hour from townhall.com. I'm Rich Thomason. Caroline Leavitt says she just doesn't get it. The White House press secretary questioning why so many Democrats are so concerned about the deportation of an illegal alien, an alleged gangbanger who was in the U.S. illegally and had been the subject of a deportation order.
Abrego Garcia was a foreign terrorist. He is an MS-13 gang member. He was engaged in human trafficking. He illegally came into our country. And so deporting him back to El Salvador was always going to be the end result.
Garcia's lawyers deny the allegations against their client, and the case is the subject of an ongoing legal fight and intense media coverage, with Garcia often referred to as a Maryland man. Leavitt says in reality, he was a criminal illegal alien who was living in Maryland. He's now in a Salvadoran prison, and that country's president says there's no way he'll allow Garcia to be returned to the U.S. A dramatic rescue of an American pastor held by kidnappers in South Africa.
Josh Sullivan, a 45-year-old American from Tennessee, was freed after 3 of his unidentified captors were killed in a gun battle with officials. The whereabouts of a 4th abductor is unknown. Sullivan has ministered in his Fellowship Baptist Church in South Africa since 2018 with his wife and 2 children. The missionary was kidnapped last Thursday. After his release, one police official said in a statement it was miraculous Sullivan escaped the rescue unharmed. The number of kidnappings in South Africa has risen 264% over the last decade, but few involve ransoms. George Williams reporting.
Former President Biden delivered a speech the other day complaining about all President Trump had done in his first 100 days in office, even though Mr. Trump had been in office for only 85 days. Now, on Wall Street, head of this morning's opening bell, the Dow futures down 87 points. More on these stories, townhall.com.
Here's me talk about Relief Factor and how so many people enjoy a better, more pain-free life because of it. If you're dealing with everyday pain, it makes sense you'd want to try it first. Well, Relief Factor makes that pretty pain-free too with their 3-week quick start kit for only $19.95, less than $1 a day. Relief Factor is a daily supplement that fights pain naturally. Relief Factor doesn't just mask pain temporarily, it helps reduce or eliminate pain. Visit relieffactor.com or call 1-800-4RELIEF, 800-4RELIEF for Relief Factor.
Healthcare is complicated. It doesn't have to be. If you don't love how your health insurance works, maybe it's time to leave traditional health insurance behind. Take charge of your healthcare with Christian Healthcare Ministries. CHM offers you flexibility. Enroll anytime, choose your own provider, and select the program that fits your needs and budget. CHM is the original faith-based way of taking care of your medical bill costs. Learn more at chministries.org/wellness.
From the Michaels Flooring Outlet Weather Center.
Morning sunshine makes way for more clouds this afternoon and this evening, up to 73 for the high. And then things turn a little active. This evening and tonight, couple of showers possible, maybe a rumble of thunder, down to 54 for the low. Thursday, scattered rain and storms around mainly in the morning, up to 77. And let's watch for some potentially strong storms late Friday with warmer highs in the mid-80s. And waves of rain this weekend mean that Easter egg hunts will probably stay inside. That's your first alert forecast. I'm meteorologist Matt Chambers.
This hour of News Talk STL brought to you by Chris Cooper and Serenity Wealth Management. Discover little-known strategies that could be the difference between choosing the care you deserve or having someone else decide it for you. Get a free copy of Chris's book at serenityltc.com.
Experience the exhilarating atmosphere of a Cardinals game. Join the sea of red in the wave around the stadium. Feel the rush of excitement as a home run lights up the sky with fireworks, bringing the whole ballpark to their feet. Nothing beats the thrill of watching the Cards get the W with the final out at the plate. It's more than a game, it's an experience. Visit Cardinals.com for tickets and info. St. Louis Cardinals for the Lou.
There is no better way to enjoy America's favorite pastime than cheering on the Cardinals with your family at Busch Stadium. From the thrill of watching the game to the kid-friendly activities, food, and fun, the ballpark has it all. Make magical memories as you cheer together for every home run, double play, and Cards win. Your family summer tradition starts here at Busch Stadium. Grab your tickets today at Cardinals.com. St. Louis Cardinals for the Lou.
Mike Ferguson.
Are you pretending to be crazy? Wow, you're really pumped about this.
Gabe Pfeiffer.
Get up! Get up! Can't you hear the alarm?
Get up, St. Louis.
The best answer to the toxicity of the left is the truth.
Mike Ferguson in the morning on News Talk STL.
Get up! Get up! This is your cousin.
All right, the Trump administration now suing the state of Maine, and this is not just about Maine.
Yeah,
let's make this very clear.
Maine's just the first one.
Maine, yeah, Maine is this is the battlefield, but this is for setting the federal standard across this country regarding protecting actual women, as in female, real women, not the mentally ill men and boys who want to invade their spaces and pretend that they're women. So that is the breaking news. Just moments ago, Attorney General Pam Bondi announced that the Trump administration, Department of Justice, suing the state of Maine for violating Title IX, for violating federal law, and not protecting women in public education spaces, and particularly sports and in other things. And so you're going to read those headlines throughout the day.
Promises made, promises kept.
Yeah,
that's one of them.
And one of the interesting things on this is we were talking about, and let's go into more depth on this at 8:20.
Yeah.
And so what we saw, and Jerome mentioned this, the differences in how the different generations view this. And the youngest generation right now, they're alpha and beta.
Now, those are
the beta would be then the kids in the like grade schools and
Little.
And alpha would be what, your junior high school
At this
maybe
point, I
early,
think.
yeah, that kind of thing.
Yeah, somewhere around there.
Somewhere in there. They are now shaping up to be the right, whether it's Republicans or the conservative movement or what. That's now the punk rock. That's now the resistance. Is the right. The establishment is the left. The counterculture is the right. We are the alternatives now.
Yeah. So we're talking the younger Gen Z and early Gen Alpha. Alpha was born in the 2010s.
Okay.
So they're they're in that 15-year range.
Right. So they're in high school.
They're in high school right now. So they're skewing right, like by a lot.
Okay. 8:20, guys. Let's get into that right there. It's 8:07 right now. Let's see here. Let's go ahead and then bring everybody up to date what's happening around the area. Kara Spencer now lays out her goals for her first term in office, and the Blues get to keep playing hockey. Those are among the things we're about to cover here on the Morning News Dump.
Successful dump.
Wake up, America. It all worked out. They got all the news.
The Morning News Dump.
Okay, I saw a bunch of headlines. Joe Biden made his first speech since losing the presidency since not running for re-election. So since leaving office, who cares?
Nobody cares. Nobody cares.
It's not news. The media is trying to tell me it's news, but anyway.
Nobody cares, Joe.
Okay. He's already forgotten what he said. Mayor Kara Spencer is now officially in that office. Shortly after her inauguration, she spoke with reporters about her first priorities. This is what she said to, among others, Fox 2.
We're going to be looking at transparency and accountability, opening the mayor's office, having some constructive conversations with members of the community leaders, et cetera. We're going to be moving forward with some accountability with regards to city services. That is critically important, how we deliver city services, improving those.
Okay, and the mayor says her other top priorities are going to be improving openness and accountability in her office. improving public safety and economic development. Okay, so related to this breaking news of the Trump administration going into federal court against the state of Maine, a federal judge in New Hampshire says that dads Andy Foote and Kyle Fellers, who have children in the public school districts there, their daughters, saying that the judge rules that they can no longer wear pink wristbands to high school games in those public school districts to oppose the boys who are pretending to be girls. So the dads sued their public school district after being banned from school grounds for wearing the wristbands to a game last year where a boy was pretending to be a girl and was allowed to compete against their daughters. Fellers tells Fox that he was quietly standing on the sidelines with the wristband, which just simply said XX to, talk about female chromosomes when the conflict happened.
The school official came up to me, asked me to take it off or leave the game. I refused. I told him I have a First Amendment right. And then at that point, he asked the police officer to intervene. The police officer came over and explained to me that I was on private property and there was no constitutional rights.
Okay, so once again, that's not private property.
No.
And the First Amendment absolutely applies.
Yes.
So the lawsuit was filed against the school district. It should be filed against the police department as well. The police should not have done what the school
They
district.
should know better.
Yeah, they I have a feeling they probably did know better, did it anyway. So they should not be taking orders from the school district. But this is exactly the type of result that the Trump administration is suing Maine over. Now, this is New Hampshire, but this is also going to affect this sort of nonsense as well. But get this, the dads say they weren't trying to harm or harass the boy that was playing, but the U.S. District Court judge said, even though they weren't trying to harm or harass, the display that they were carrying was, his words, fully capable of conveying such a message. So because the message that they might have carried could have been looked at as harassing the boy and his family or whoever, the judge says you're not allowed to do it. The judge is so far out of line, and the police department was so out of line, and the school district is so out of line. I hope these dads clean house, and I hope everybody else in that community, although, it's a New England community, so they're going to be pretty left. They should all show up with XX everything to every school event.
Oh,
That's
yeah.
what they should be doing.
Yeah, absolutely. With big, gigantic banners and everything. And my hope is that the judgment that they might end up with eventually can finance the girls' college.
Yes, without a doubt, at a private conservative school.
Exactly.
The Trump administration and Harvard University are now in a high-profile clash with billions of dollars at stake. Here's the story.
Harvard this week became the first university to openly defy the Trump administration as it demands sweeping changes to limit activism on campus. White House Press Secretary Caroline Leavitt.
All the president is asking, don't break federal law, and then you can have your federal funding.
But Harvard sees the demands as a threat and says the school will not surrender its independence or relinquish its constitutional rights. The administration has frozen more than $2 billion in grants because of Harvard's refusal. Greg Clugston, Washington.
Keep your independence. Just we get to keep our money.
Yeah, exactly.
You want to be a cesspit of anti-Semitism and racial hatred and anti-Christian bigotry? Go ahead.
Have at it.
You don't get my tax dollars for it.
Do it on your own dime.
Yeah. At what point did the United States become the dumping ground for people that hate other people's freedoms?
That's another thing.
About 68, 67, 68, somewhere in there. I think
so. The commies made room and started importing.
Yeah. All right. Somebody left a car on the train tracks in Alton. You guys have your cars.
You're not supposed to park there.
You can't park there. So this happened early Tuesday morning, and the vehicle was hit by an Amtrak train. This happened near the old station on College Avenue.
Okay.
There in Alton. Okay. So nobody was in the car, which had apparently crashed through that protective fence outside of the station.
Oh boy.
Before getting stuck on the tracks, meaning somebody hightailed it out of there with the whole
Yeah.
Nobody was hurt, although there were 35 or so people on the Amtrak train. The train did stay on the tracks, even though it hit the car, which tells me that they had time to slow down at least. Alton police are investigating, but there's no word yet on any arrest or citations. Shall we speculate what happened?
Oh yeah. Whoever it was, drunk or high. And possibly a stolen vehicle.
Yeah, that's what I'm thinking.
Yeah.
Because that if you leave your car somewhere, it's real easy to figure out. If I left my car on the tracks, they could find me pretty fast with that, right?
Yeah.
See, I think of dissenting opinion here. I think that they just realized, oh snap, I left the oven on at home. I didn't get back.
I gotta run right now.
Oh my goodness.
Back home.
Which means that they're older because the younger generation is like, what's an
oven?
Yeah,
that's weird.
Air fryer. It's like a big air fryer.
Is it big?
All right. Senator Eric Schmidt wants to extend the Easter holiday by making the Monday after a federal holiday. His bill is called the Easter Monday Act of 2025, and it would establish the day as a recognized federal holiday. The way that I understand the bill, it's not replacing another one. It's just adding to it. So the senator says, about 80% of Americans celebrate Easter in some way. That sounds about right, I would think. And he says adding a holiday for that is, in his words, pro-family and would also help the economy by encouraging more travel for the holiday season, especially one that's faith-based.
At first, my initial response to this was like, okay, I guess, whatever, and then the more I thought about it, it's like, he's actually right. I think it would encourage it at the very least, it would help to increase the family-friendly nature of our society by encouraging more family gatherings and whatnot. And of course, the economic aspect of it too, I think, is true. Like if you encourage those family get-togethers,
you weren't going to have to go to work on Monday.
If you knew you weren't going to have to go to work on Monday, you might drive those 4 or 5 hours to go have a brunch with mom.
Yeah, there you go. All right, let's see here. The Blues are in the playoffs, baby. We made it. Yes.
Woo.
Last night's 6-1 win over Utah in the last game of the regular season. It came down to the last game.
6-1.
6-1. That clinched the wild card spot when they defeated the Hockey Club. That's literally their team name.
The Hockey Club. Still.
The Hockey Club of Utah. Yeah. 4 different Blues scored in the first period, and Jordan Kyrou added 2 goals in the third period. The Blues are going to end up playing Winnipeg in the first round of the playoffs.
Now that's going to be tough.
It's going to be really tough.
Yeah.
You know what?
Mm-hmm.
I'm satisfied with the Blues season. They exceeded our expectations
by a lot.
Yeah. So very, very happy, very proud of this team. All right. The Astros even up the series with the Cardinals on Tuesday. Final score at Busch Stadium was 2-0. That means I don't really have any highlights to talk about because it was 2-0. We didn't do anything.
Basically nothing happened.
Yeah. The deciding game of the series starts this afternoon at 12:15. You can catch that game on FanDuel.
Here we go again. These people are crazy.
Chris Arps here, and after Becky and I leave church on Sunday, we head down the street to Capriotti's to grab a classic meatball sub. And of course, for dessert, I get a giant chocolate chip cookie. I love Capriotti's, and you will too.
On Manchester at McKnight in Rock Hill.
Devco Patriot Radio.
Hey guys, I don't know about you, but I love learning about national and international issues here on News Talk STL. But do you know what's going on in your neck of the woods, your city, your county, and its politics? If you live in Jefferson County and want to know more about what's happening locally, join Speaker Tim Jones and me, Councilman Billy Crow, as we dive into all things Jefferson County on Sundays at high noon on Jeffco Patriot Radio.
Devco Patriot Radio.
On News Talk STL.
Hey, Columbo here for Rockwood Charcoal. Rockwood is made from 100% pure Missouri oak and hickory, so you're cooking with the best and supporting local industry and a local business all at once. There's over 100 area Rockwood retailers. Find yours at rockwoodcharcoal.com.
The Herzog Tomorrow Foundation provides private school tuition scholarships through Missouri's new Most Scholars program to cover the cost of accessible, high-quality schooling.
Hi, this is Mayela Esser with the Herzog Tomorrow Foundation. Our private school tuition scholarships wouldn't be possible without the support of generous Missouri taxpayers. If you're a Missouri taxpayer interested in redirecting your tax dollars and sending them to Missouri students in need of a better education, please contact me at herzogmostscholars.org.
Better education for students creates a better tomorrow for all. Learn how you can help provide a better education for Missouri students at herzogmostscholars.org. That's herzogmostscholars.org. Also, sign up for The Lion, an initiative of the Herzog Foundation that carries articles covering a wide range of issues facing American families and culture. herzogfoundation.com. That's herzogfoundation.com.
Live and local.
Well, here's what's on my mind. I think I got the solution to immigration.
News Talk STL. News, analysis, opinion.
I don't want to hear about it anymore. It's a shame I've got to live without you anymore. There's a fire in
Hey, Chris Arps from the Tim Jones and Chris Arps Show. Make sure that you're listening to our show this afternoon from 4 to 6. Now back to the Mike Ferguson in the Morning Show.
Okay, right around 8:35, our buddy Aaron Dorr going to be with us from the Missouri Firearms Coalition. This has been a big week when it comes to Second Amendment legislation at the state capitol. And I mentioned this, I touched on it because I saw some of the pictures of the news coverage. Police chiefs from around the state went in uniform this week trying to oppose fixing and bringing back the Second Amendment Preservation Act.
Really?
They fought against pro 2A bills.
That is not a good
That's
sign.
really, really, really concerning to me. So Aaron is going to give us the update on that right around 8:35. We've got Flashback Friday coming up this week. So if you want to get your 80s bump music request in, send them via the social media chats or email Jerome, and he can pick and choose the best ones. And are you still hearing stuff you've never heard before?
I'm still hearing stuff I've never heard before, and I'm starting to get a little bit thematic with it. So
Yeah.
if you send multiple requests and they kind of fit, you have a better chance. But for those in the Rumble chat, just know the chat goes away after the stream ends.
Yes.
So please, Jerome at newstalkstl.com.
Yeah, and it's funny because from week to week, it's funny how they sort of Flashback Friday sort of takes on a life of its own.
Yeah, sure does.
You know,
Every time.
When Stell was doing it, and before that, when Ken was doing it, they would just pick like this, and then after about half hour in, we're like, wait a minute, it's a little more rocky or a little more poppy or a little more synthy or a little more whatever, and so it's kind of funny how those turn out. But not only are we enjoying the Flashback Friday, but we're culturing Jerome with 80s culture.
I'm getting my education, as Corporal Being would say.
That's right.
Yep.
Okay, 8:20 right now. So we've now got two of these gender ideology stuff that's in the news. You've got the two dads in New Hampshire,
right,
who literally were banned from public school grounds to watch their daughters play sports because they wore a wristband that simply said XX.
They dared to
They
wear.
didn't say anything. They didn't yell. They didn't hold up signs. They just had a wristband that said, I disagree.
The audacity of their silent wrong thing.
Right.
See, if that was me in that situation, I would just show up dressed like one of the moms to support the game.
There you go.
Get all the dads together for you.
How dare you assault a woman?
This is how ridiculous you look. Right, exactly. And then also we have the breaking news about half hour ago, something along those lines, where the Department of Justice is suing the state of Maine for their refusal to protect women, whether it's in sports or in other areas. And so they're very, very serious about it. This is about as serious as it gets. As Gabe aptly put it, this is now the find out part of the equation.
Yes.
And we were chatting about this both on and off the air. And it really led to an interesting thing because with Jerome being younger than Gabe and I, which is really weird since Stell went to move with Jamie and Tony. And now Jerome is here. I'm the freaking old guy. I am a young, vibrant man.
Yes, you are.
You're probably the most athletic of the three of us, though.
Yes, currently.
I mean, yeah, I do my best.
Currently, yes.
Just saying. But it's what's funny is that now when you look at being on the right, whether it's just big R Republicans or whether it's conservative or whether it's the populist, MAGA part of the right, being on the right is now the punk rock. Being on the right is now the alternative. That's now the resistance. That is the counterculture. Well, my generation, the Republicans were the stuffy suit and ties, and the counterculture was the far left.
Right.
Yeah, punk's not dead. It just got old.
That's true.
Yes, it's so true. Well, and it's hilarious to watch, guys who were kind of emblematic of that era just turn around and kind of join the leftist authoritarians. You know what I mean?
Right.
It's like you got Rage Against the Machine telling you, yes,
So
do what
true.
they tell you.
Yes. Rage Against the Machine. Literally. Well, yes.
Obey the machine.
Obey the machine.
Yes, exactly.
Listen, Tom Morello is a great guitar player, but he sucks at politics.
Green Day talking about how much you have to, if you don't comply with the mask orders, then you're some kind of, thing. It's kind of hilarious to watch. And we're seeing it though play out generationally though too.
Yes,
That's the other aspect of this where we talked briefly about, Mike and I are Gen X. That was 65 to 80.
65 to 80. And I was born in 71.
77.
Yeah.
So we're kind of mid to late Gen X. And yeah, we have the I don't care sort of attitude.
Oh, yeah.
And so we've kind of been silent for a while here in the culture wars. Like, yeah, I don't care what you do. It's like, just leave me out of it kind of thing.
Yeah, because my parents, and your parents,
yeah,
they were young parents and we were kids when we had that 80s round, early 90s round of the culture wars.
Yes.
With the moral majority and all of those guys. And I think that left a bad taste in a lot of our mouths.
It did. It did by a lot. I mean, it's like, I was just talking with a young guy, our young youth pastor over in my church, and he asked me, he's like, well, what did you guys think about Dungeons and Dragons?
Yeah.
He's like, it's like, if you were a Christian in the 80s, you remember Dungeons and Dragons was the devil.
Oh, it was going to suck you straight to hell.
Yes, it was basically, you're playing
Demons were crawling up into
witchcraft.
your body.
You're invoking monsters from the other realms with playing Dungeons and Dragons. And of course, he's like, well, we know that was not true. We know it was silly.
Yeah.
So then that left a bad taste in our mouth. So we very much were kind of look, I don't care what you do. It's not that big a deal. It's like, let's not make a big deal out of everything. And we took ourselves out of a lot of these fights, a lot of these culture war fights, because the fight had been fought badly, I think, when we were young.
So how did we go from Dungeons and Dragons to Dungeons and Drag Queens then? Because people like to
mark the tape on that one. That was good.
People like to mock my generation, because I'm young for a millennial. I'm late 90s, so technically I'm in that like gray area. But a lot of people like to dunk on us, talk about how sensitive we are. We're all participation trophies, but it's like, who was raising us? Like, it wasn't us that woke up one day deciding this is okay, this is normal, this is great. The idea had to come from somewhere.
Well, my generation outsourced you to the public schools.
Yeah. And so the worst examples of Gen X were in charge of raising our kids, and we kind of left it to them because we don't care. We didn't care. Seriously.
Well, and like trusted them.
Well, I think that's part of it too.
Because you generally could trust the schools when we were kids.
Yeah, that's true.
Because they were accountable to the parents, and my parents' generation were more locked in and communicative with the people that they were outsourcing their kids to than frankly our generation was.
Well, yeah, and with our parents who were, I won't say our parents were absent, but there was an aspect.
Mine weren't.
There was an aspect to that where we talk about Gen X being feral kids, right?
I was feral by about the age of 5. I was walking to kindergarten. By myself.
So, but the thing is, our teachers were very much these mainstays in our lives, and they were solid individuals. We counted them among our parents as the important adults who had life lessons to deliver to us and things like that. And we, obeying authority was still kind of a thing. We had our movies where we would show the kids kind of being a little wild.
The Breakfast Club.
But the thing is that was our fantasy life, because in reality we were obeying all the kids. But the other aspect of it was after that, when we were raising our kids, we were thinking, oh, well, we can do the same as our parents did. We just let the teachers roll.
And then along comes COVID. And so this actually is a generational divide.
Yes, absolutely. Now, and some people have kind of characterized this. And now Gen Z is the generation that experienced COVID the most. We'll say because it's kind of in their formative years, and for some reason, and I'll explain the reason. People are characterizing it as a bifurcated generation. You got Gen Z 1.0 who graduated pre-COVID.
Okay.
So their zeitgeist was kind of characterized by the Women's March and the March for Our Lives. That was the anti-gun one. The climate strikes and Black Lives Matter and all those movements. They were part of their upbringing. That was part of the zeitgeist. That was the cool thing to do. Gen Z 2.0, however, graduated post-COVID, and the things that kind of characterized their upbringing was a resistance to the COVID tyranny and the masking protocols and all that stuff. There was the free speech movements that were kind of taking over. MAGA Trump world was kind of becoming a thing. So that characterized the right leaning aspect of our culture as the counterculture.
Yeah.
Which is fascinating to those of us who grew up where the right were the stuffy people who were trying to ban comic books and stuff.
Right. If you were, I mean, if you go back to like when I was in high school, let's say, 1986, 87, 88, 89, and you said, yeah, that counterculture, man, those Republicans. And you would look at like,
they would look at you like, excuse me,
this is Reagan's America. What are you talking about? And so it's weird.
Yes.
I mean, literally, we are the alternative media. We're the pirate radio almost. By challenging the narrative that says that you can't put on a dress and suddenly become a girl.
Right.
I mean, that's what's weird. And so the other question then is this current, alpha, beta, whatever, probably alpha, they're the next ones to go up to college in the workforce. And to say, are they going to be the ones who toughen up and correct the wimpy participation trophy errors that we've made in culture, or will they eventually roll into it?
And I think it's like, by all accounts so far, Gen Alpha, who were born into 2010, so they're like, the oldest Gen Alpha is 15. They're skewing right now, like by a wide margin. I think the last thing I saw was that the previous generation skewed left by only 6 points, which was unusual to begin with.
That's basically 50-50.
And the generation that behind them are skewing to the right by like 12 points.
Interesting. All right. Your Second Amendment rights being opposed by law enforcement in Missouri? Say it ain't so. Let's talk about that with our friend Aaron Dorr from the American Firearms Association and Missouri Firearms Coalition right around 8:35 here on 101.9 94.1 News Talk STL.
When they say it like that, they mean business.
From the Michaels Flooring Outlet Weather Center.
Morning sunshine makes way for more clouds this afternoon and this evening, up to 73 for the high. And then things turn a little active. This evening and tonight, couple of showers possible, maybe a rumble of thunder, down to 54 for the low. Thursday, scattered rain and storms around mainly in the morning, up to 77. And let's watch for some potentially strong storms late Friday with warmer highs in the mid-80s. And waves of rain this weekend mean that Easter egg hunts will probably stay inside. That's your first alert forecast. I'm meteorologist Matt Shea.
Fox News commentary.
El Salvador's president says he will not return the alleged illegal alien gang member to the U.S. I'm Tommy Lahren. More next.
National security is at risk, and China controls most of the world's supply of antimony, a critical metal for military and defense technology. Military Metals Corp is taking action and securing a Western-controlled supply with projects in Europe and North America. Critical minerals are the backbone of modern defense. Now's the time to pay attention. The stock trades on the OTC under ticker MILIF. Call your broker today or go to www.militarymetalscorp.com to learn more.
Democrats are fuming that El Salvador's president will not facilitate the return of an alleged illegal alien gang member. Democrats, along with their pals in the media, like to refer to Kilmar Abrego Garcia as simply a Maryland father, completely ignoring that he's not only an illegal alien, but has been determined by 2 courts and county authorities to be a gang member. Still, they want him returned to the USA. While the Trump administration insists they don't have the authority to do that, given Garcia is a foreign national on foreign soil. When asked by reporters if he would facilitate the return of Garcia, El Salvador's president also declined. So there you have it. And legality aside, it's quite the message the Democrats are sending to the American people. They'll go to the ends of the earth to get an illegal alien back on your soil. I'm Tommy Lahren, and you can watch my show, Tommy Lahren is Fearless, at Outkick.com.
Confused about tariffs and trade policies? The Hammond Institute at Lindenwood University and News Talk STL present economist Dr. Nicholas L. Zebarth in their H.F. Langenberg Memorial Speaker Series. Join us April 24th as Dr. Zebarth breaks down what tariffs really are, how they work, and separates economic fact from fiction. Don't miss this chance to expand your economic understanding with one of Missouri's leading experts. Reserve your spot now at newstalkstl.com.
Tim Jones here. I'm here with Eric from Newstetter's Fine Jewelers, a St. Louis jewelry tradition since 1961. What are y'all doing over at the jewelry store?
Wow. Well, first I want to say don't let fine and fine jewelry confuse you. We have pieces starting at $100 that will keep your loved one happy for a lifetime and look like you spent thousands. Get started early. We also have a wish list to ensure your loved one gets exactly what they want, and we're also bringing back a layaway program to make your life easier. Newstetter's Fine Jewelry is truly where honesty and integrity meet. We're all about quality at a fair price. Our goal is to guarantee that the gift you give will be loved for a lifetime. Come in and meet our professional staff that will put your needs above all else. There's never any pressure here, just an attentive family that listens and educates you to ensure you're completely happy and the gift you give is perfect.
Experience that fantastic Newstetter's difference today at wowdiamonds.com. Newstetter's Fine Jewelers, wowdiamonds.com.
As Passover begins, I want to share a bit about this meaningful Jewish holiday, especially for those of you who may have friends, neighbors, or coworkers observing it. Hello, I'm Danny Cohn, the new CEO of the Jewish Federation of St. Louis. Passover tells the story of Moses and the Israelites' journey from slavery to freedom in ancient Egypt. It is a time for family, reflection, and honoring traditions passed down through the generations. You might notice some of us eating different kinds of food, including matzah, a flat, unleavened cracker, and skipping bread this week. It's part of remembering the urgency of our ancestors' escape and journey towards receiving the 10 Commandments at Mount Sinai. Many families gather for a Seder, a special meal filled with symbolism and questions that spark conversation and learning. No matter what you celebrate this season, appreciating each other's cultures and traditions helps us build a more connected, compassionate St. Louis. So, from our Jewish community to yours, Happy Easter, Ramadan Mubarak, and Chag Pesach Sameach. Happy Passover.
This is News Talk STL. News, analysis, and opinion from the voices you know and trust. News Talk STL at 1019, 941, and newstalkstl.com.
Hi, this is Aaron Dorr. Check out my show, Shall Not Be Infringed, Sunday nights at 9. But now it's more of Mike Ferguson in the morning on News Talk STL.
This is something we mentioned the other day. There was, a hearing that was happening on the Second Amendment Preservation Act. We've covered that extensively. A judge strikes it down. The judge says, this is what needs to be fixed. This is what I object to. So Missouri lawmakers say, SEPA is important to us, and we're going to go with those fixes. We're going to put this back into place. Obviously, you expect the left to throw a fit on that. Mm-hmm. But this week in Jefferson City, law enforcement officials showed up in uniform, apparently en masse to some degree, to speak out against the pro Second Amendment push in Washington, or in Jefferson City, rather. That's discouraging.
Yeah,
that's really disappointing, because there's a lot of law enforcement around the state that are stridently pro Second Amendment. I think a sheriff, Marshak in Jeffco, and who's about as conservative as you get, pro Constitution as you get. But there were a lot of the other mindset that showed up. Well, obviously, our friends at the Missouri Firearms Coalition / American Firearms Association are on the right side of the issue as always. And we're joined now by Aaron Dorr on this. And Aaron, let me start with, we're going to get into the bill and the specifics and all that kind of stuff here in a minute. It's just disappointing to see so many law enforcement arguing against a pro Second Amendment bill. So what were the dynamics like on that, showing up obviously in their uniforms and their badges and everything? And we're very pro back the blue here at News Talk STL, but I'm not gonna shy away from calling out our friends when they're wrong about something.
Yeah, good morning, Mike. Thanks for the time today. It's always frustrating to see this happen, because we talk to cops almost every single day who want SEPA because they do not want to be in a position to be ordered to enforce federal gun control laws the next time some commie Democrat gets in the White House. They want this to protect them, because right now, if you're a rank and file police officer, you're given that order. Your choices are, number one, violate your conscience and your oath of office, or number two, get fired. So frontline cops, beat cops, they want this in the worst way. The problem we have is their police chiefs, their department heads, who are appointed in most cases by the mayor. These are more political figures than they are law enforcement officers. And as a lobby presence in Jeff City, they are very much against SAPA and, frankly, every expansion of gun rights that we've done here in Missouri for a very long time. So there's a major disconnect between their lobby presence in Jeff City as department heads and frontline cops.
Yeah. So what's the argument that they're making on this? I mean, I just gave an example of a local law enforcement official who, listen, I trust that guy with law enforcement because I've met him and I know where he's coming from, and he's pro-Constitution, he's pro-Bill of Rights, he's pro-2A. But what's the argument being made? And obviously with the display of the uniforms, the argument is this is what all law enforcement says, and obviously targeted towards a back the blue Republican majority, which wasn't buying it, obviously, because the bill moved forward. But what's the argument that they're making to try to derail these Second Amendment bills?
Yeah, it's very frustrating. For the most part, what they said was just patently wrong. We had examples. They said, well, when we arrest drug dealers, we want to make sure we have all the tools that we need to do it and to help the feds accomplish that. There are carve-outs in SAPA that allow Missouri cops to help the feds in cases of drug distribution. They said we want to be able to put bad guys in prison. There's all kinds of room for Missouri cops to enforce Missouri law, and as a carve-out in the bill to help the feds enforce laws in the case of a violent person's crime. So a lot of what they said was absolutely not factual at all. One thing which has to be talked about, Mike, and I hate to bring this up, but it's important to the conversation, and that's a program with the Department of Justice known as the Federal Equitable Sharing Program. And if you look that program up, what that is it's a program where when the ATF forms a joint task force, for example, let's say here in St. Louis, 80% of the money that they seize during the utilization of that task force reverts back to local partners, aka local police departments. Over the last 20 years, Missouri has received $171 million via the Federal Equitable Sharing Program. And those programs were largely shut down when SAPA was in effect for 2 years, from 2021 to 2023. And there's a lot of folks who are openly asking the question right now here in Jeff City, is this about public safety or is it about federal dollars flowing to these departments?
Yeah, my Second Amendment rights are not for sale. I don't care what the price tag is on this. Okay, so SAPA then, it is moving. So what's the status of it right now? I mean, are we to the point where we still need to be concerned and put that pressure on, or have we cleared that mark where it looks like this is going to get to the finish line? Because as I recall, Governor, Keogh being friendly to SAPA and the Second Amendment bills.
Yes, where we are right now is the bill. This is House Bill 1175. It has passed the House. We're done over there. We had the committee hearing in the Senate on this bill on Monday. It will come out of the committee next Monday, and from there it goes to the floor of the Senate for a final vote, or for perfection. Now, I would say we are never out of the woods on this ever until session's adjourned, sine die, because the real fight is going to come via amendments on the Senate floor. Right. And so we expect to get out of the committee clean next Monday. And from there, it is critical that gun owners get on the phone, fire off emails, text, talk to your state senator and tell him or her, we want you to vote yes on SAPA, but to vote no on these amendments. The amendments that are being proposed right now by police chiefs and Missouri Sheriffs United are all designed to kill the bill. They want to remove the penalties. They want to change the task force language. All the amendments that they have given us to review, they've actually asked us, are you guys okay with this? And we're like, no, we're not. Right. All the amendments are designed to kill SAPA. So the real fight, the last fight before the bill would get to Governor Keogh's desk, is going to be the amendment fight on the Senate floor sometime, I would imagine, in the next 2, possibly 3 weeks.
Yeah, we've only got about 5 weeks left overall. Okay, that's crucial to know. Yes on the bill, but make sure they understand we're not going to tolerate the amendments designed to kill it or water it down. We're visiting with Aaron Dorr from the Missouri Firearms Coalition and American Firearms Association. Okay, but this isn't the only 2A debate that's happening right now. What's happening with the idea of preventative measures? Are we talking about red flag laws? Where are we with that? Because that was another aspect that some of the more conservative, some of the more pro 2A lawmakers were kind of saying, hey guys, watch out for this. Where are we with that?
Yeah, a lot of gun bills have passed committee right now that have not been put on the debate calendar for a vote right now in the Senate. We've got anti-red flags. That bill is with Senator Nick Schroer, who, of course, is a show right here on News Talk. That bill has passed committee. It's SB 142. It has not yet been scheduled for floor action. We have preemption reform, SB 74, which fixes a problem in Jackson County with our local gun control laws.
Yeah.
Same thing. It's passed committee. It's not yet on the Senate floor. And I would say that later on today, as a matter of fact, we have a hearing in the House General Laws Committee. I believe it's HB 726. Don't quote me on that, but it's Representative Lisa Darnell from West Plains. And this is the House companion to the preemption reform bill, which deals with the problem we have right now in Jackson County, where they are passing ordinances when it comes to guns that are blatantly illegal and unconstitutional. So right now in Jackson County, you have to be 21 to possess a handgun. But state law in Missouri says you can get a carry permit when you're 19. So these county officials are assuming to themselves the power to pass gun control, and they're doing it, giving the middle finger to the General Assembly. This bill would fix that by putting civil penalties into the state's preemption law. That hearing today is at 4:30 or upon adjournment of the House.
Okay, and of course, the Board of Aldermen in St. Louis has been trying to do something along those lines for at least the last couple of years as well. So that's got a big impact right here in St. Louis as well. Okay, a couple minutes left here, Aaron. Let me ask you about a federal thing. The ATF now has a new deputy director. I don't know anything about him. What's your take on this? And is this a matter of we're still engaged in the push to abolish the ATF, or is the Trump administration seem to be settling in and being satisfied with reforming it under the DOJ and Pam Bondi and Kash Patel? Because I'll be really honest, I think Pam Bondi's doing some things right, but I'm very leery of her when it comes to Second Amendment stuff.
Well, you're right to be, because she was very much in support of gun control when she was the Attorney General in Florida, as we discussed in the show previously. Mm-hmm. You know, I think the real question we have to ask in the gun rights community right now is, what do we want? Do we want to polish brass on a sinking ship, or do we want to, fix this problem for good? Because the problem with what we're seeing right now with the ATF is that a new department head will be appointed the next time a new Democrat becomes president. Maybe it's AOC. That's all the buzz I saw yesterday, all over social media, was her fundraising prowess and her exploding name ID. Whenever the next Democrat becomes president, they can simply swap out personnel at the ATF. And so does it give us some relief for a couple of years to have these new directors and deputies in there? Sure, maybe, hopefully. We expect so. But it's not going to solve the problem. The problem is we have a rogue agency who does not believe that the Constitution applies to them. And when the federal government rotates over and it goes back to the Democrats, whenever that happens, we're going to be right back in the hot seat where we were under Joe Biden. So it needs to be abolished. It needs to be shut down. It needs to be shuttered, put the building on eBay, sell it, get rid of it. And let's get back to the era when local law enforcement handled local issues in our country. The idea of an all-powerful government has always been a problem.
Okay, just a real quick note. You just gave away your age when you said eBay and not Facebook Marketplace. I'm just going to point that out. Yeah.
Oh, yeah, you're right.
Okay.
You're right.
And secondly, there is a bill to abolish the ATF. Missouri's own Eric Burleson is behind that. I can imagine even among the establishment on the Republican side, they're going to be a little nervous about that. Where is that bill? Because this is going to be one of those public pressure is crucial type situations.
Yeah, I think right now it has not moved since our last conversation. We are happy to announce that we've got Bob Onder on that bill as a co-sponsor. We've got Mark Alfred on that bill as a co-sponsor. So approaching half of Missouri's delegation has proudly co-sponsored this bill. It is becoming a bit of a litmus test in D.C. If you care about gun rights, national reciprocity is like the lowest possible hanging fruit, and it goes up from there, and towards the top is abolishing the ATF. We're happy to see this, though, because again, 10 years ago, if you discussed abolishing the ATF, they would have called you an insurrectionist, a crazy person. The gun rights community, as the older generation gets older, back to your discussion about my age, Mike, thanks a lot for that, and as these new generation of gun owners come online and get involved in the fight for gun rights, they are not tolerating what was considered acceptable behavior from Republicans as the previous generation did. They want big, bold changes like abolishing the ATF. So we're not sure how fast this bill is going to move, but this issue is not going away.
Yeah, good. All right. And of course, we've already tagged you on our social media. I really encourage people to follow all of yours, whether it's Missouri Firearms Coalition or American Firearms Association. You guys are on top of this, and that's how I follow what's happening with anything 2A related to Missouri, and also a lot of federal stuff as well. You do a great job covering that. That's why I wanted the update from you. Really appreciate that. The website or websites is what, but definitely I want people to follow you on social media.
Sure, yeah. On X, it's at Real Aaron Dorr, and on the website is MissouriFirearmsCoalition.org, AmericanFirearmsAssociation.org, and we're on all the social networks you can think of.
Yep, absolutely. We've tagged you already, so just go to our X or Twitter or Facebook and all that, and you can find those as well. Aaron, my friend, thanks so much. Really appreciate the update.
Have a great day, Mike. Thank you. Take care. Goodbye.
Yep. So we've got to remember that just because Republicans are elected to the majority doesn't mean that our rights are safe. Okay. That is about the rights and about the Constitution. And we need to be ready to push back and call out any party that isn't moving fast enough, much less one that's standing in the way of that. All right. Got some thoughts? Let's talk. 314-912-1019. Almost feels like we got a lot of ground to kind of clean up here as we try to clean up the studio for Vic to come in right around 9:04 here.
We've been here 30 years, 30 Christmases in this house, and we have the traditions that most families have.
That's Terry talking about her experience with Rhino Shield ceramic coating.
We did Rhino Shield 14 years ago, and the house still looks the same as the first day. Rhino Shield really worked with me to help me get just the right, nice, soft yellow, and it's 14 years later, and it's the same color.
The main reason Terry called Rhino Shield is because it's backed by its 25-year transferable warranty.
It just sounded wonderful that we could have the house coated with Rhino Shield and not have to worry about it again for 25 years.
Take it from Terry. Give Rhino Shield a call now for a free evaluation. 877-25-RHINO. 877-25-RHINO. Or visit 877-25rhino.com.
There have been neighbors that have come by and said, "Did you just have your house painted?" Because they wanted to know who the contractor was. And I said, "No, it's actually Rhino Shield."
877-25rhino.com.
Attention St. Charles, looking for a local spot that satisfies all your cravings? Mario's Donut Restaurant is your place to go for breakfast, lunch, and dinner. From mouth-watering sandwiches and omelets to delicious gyros, Mexican dishes, salads, and wraps, we've got it all. And don't forget our famous donuts. They're so good, they'll make your eyes glaze over. Dine in or carry out. Our friendly staff is ready to serve you with love and care. Mention News Talk STL when you visit. Call 636-447-4515 or visit mariosdonutrestaurant.com.
Basement with a Y. That's Basement E.
It's Basement T.
Basement E?
It's Basement T.
Oh, Basement T. Basement T. I get it. That's the basement waterproofing and foundation repair experts at Woods Basement Systems.
Right. The All Things Basement Tea experts at Woods Basement Systems will provide you a free estimate and dry up that wet basement and fix that cracked foundation. Call 800-388-9326 or go online to woodsbasementsystems.com.
That's woodsbasementsystems.com.
The Allman Report.
Hey, Wednesday on the Allman Report. This might be our one chance to finally break from China. So says the guy who's going to be on with me, plus Rick Pogue.
Jamie Allman. Live and local, weekdays at noon on News Talk STL.
Hi, it's Vic Porcelli.
And Ken.
Hi, Ken.
Hey, Vic.
Ken and I are on every Monday through Friday here on News Talk STL. Right now, you're listening to Mike Ferguson in the morning on 101.9 and 94.1 News Talk STL. Whoosh, my morning people.
All right. I don't know what's top of the list for Vic today, but don't be surprised if throughout the entire day, you're going to get a lot more details and a lot more coverage of the Trump administration's announcement today. Attorney General Pam Bondi just made that like an hour ago, something like that, that they are suing the state of Maine over Title IX violations. And everything goes with it. That's not just about the state of Maine. That's also about the state of Illinois.
Yeah, it's going to set a precedent for sure regarding how that gets rolled down.
Eventually, that's going to end up at the Supreme Court. We'll see, how that shakes out. I would not be surprised if, especially in New England, that the Trump administration loses a round, maybe two. But whether they win at the first level and then it gets appealed by Maine and then whoever, eventually the point is this is going to go to the U.S. Supreme Court.
Oh, yeah.
Because it has to do with, does the federal government have the right to, withhold or even claw back that funding based on violations of Title IX and all that sort of thing. So it's going to be, from a legal perspective, it's going to be really interesting to watch. But the Trump administration, basically is following through with a big threat that was made to that one state. But don't for a minute think it's just about that one state.
Absolutely.
All right. 8:52 right now. Got Jerome here. I'm Mike. Let's see here. Was it Tyler? I think.
Yeah, we have Tyler who wants to talk about
on line here.
some of Trump
stuff. All right. Tyler, you're on News Talk STL. What's on your mind?
Yeah, I wanted to call about Donnie. I thought he was only going to be dictator for day one. Seems like he's trying to be a dictator for much longer. I'll throw some examples past you.
Sure.
He's threatening media companies who are critical of him.
Mm-hmm.
He's talking about sending Americans to foreign prisons.
Mm-hmm.
He's signing executive orders to investigate former staff members who spoke out against him, and he wants a third term. Can you help me understand how he's not being a dictator?
In those particular examples, no, because I've spoken out against every single one of those as well. He's been wrong. Now, the investigating former people, I mean, I haven't read up on those, but the other three things, everybody here in this,
he's going after Miles Taylor and Chris Krebs. Can you help me understand what Chris Krebs did illegal?
I'll be real honest. I don't even know who Chris Krebs is. I mean, if I knew, I would engage on it. I just don't know. But let me talk about the stuff.
Let me refresh your memory. Yep. Chris Krebs was his cybersecurity czar, who had the audacity to say that the election was free and fair and that there was no fraud in it. So Trump, of course, had to fire him because of that.
Yeah. Well,
and now he's going after him.
I've been pretty open that, Trump, I think Trump, definitely values loyalty and he will enact vengeance. And that's one of the things I disagree with him on. You're
not allowed to be a dictator over those things.
Right. The third term thing is just stupid. And I said so on the air. I don't disagree with you on that. There's no possible.
Yeah. Well, hey, Jerome, you're a MAGA cultist. When do you plan to speak out against these things?
Never. I'm 100% in favor of everything Trump's doing, and I hope he's actually just as bad as everybody on the left says he is. I actually hope he's worse.
Right. So you think it's a good idea to send Americans to foreign prisons?
Yeah, depending on what they've done. I'm a big fan of exiling people, and
let's say you murder 100 people, you should be sent to a foreign prison.
Yeah, we'll make it North Korea's problem.
Well, that sounds constitutional.
Right. Yeah.
That's very intelligent of you, Jerome.
Yeah. So again, something else that I've. Here's the thing, and Tyler, here's the thing. Trump is not. He wasn't my pick in there. Here's as when you look at the polls, there's a lot of things I think Trump's doing right. There's a lot of things I disagree with, and I get in a lot of trouble with the right for disagreeing with him on things. But I just look at the Constitution as my gauge, my personal freedom. I've got more of that libertarian streak in me than a lot of people do. But here's the thing: when you look at the last election, and the left is angry, how could somebody like Donald Trump get elected?
Right, he won in a landslide. He won in a landslide, a point and a half.
Hold on a second.
We're letting you talk. You have to let him talk.
All right, here, pot him down for a second here. Okay, so here's how it works. I am one of the most open conservative hosts. I want to engage with people who disagree with me. So I don't know if he's talking right now, but we'll let him talk in a second here. But here's the thing is, electorally, it was a landslide. Popular vote, it wasn't as much of a landslide as what people say, but it was consistent throughout the country. The country chose Donald Trump over Kamala Harris.
Easy choice.
And the left is saying, well, how could you possibly do this? Part of that is a reflection on how bad the left has gotten and how bad of a candidate that Kamala Harris was. I said during the campaign, and we can pot Tyler back up here, is that had the Democrats run somewhat of a center left Manchin Gabbard type, I don't think there's any Republican. But Donald Trump, part of the reason Donald Trump's in office is because the left has become so unhinged, insane. And I've got about 15 seconds for a response, and then they're going to cut me off for the national news. But I'll let you have the final word.
Call me old-fashioned, but I like presidents that don't do insurrections. That's just me, but I tend to think that's a disqualifying thing.
All right, well, I got to go to the news here. Again, I'm willing to engage.
For the call.
Yeah, I'm willing to engage with people who disagree with me on that. I don't think he won over News Talk's audience by using the insurrection word, but that's the thing is there are some things Trump's getting right. His actions today, announcing that lawsuit against the state of Maine, that's one of the things people voted for.
Yeah, that was a big win.
And that's, I get that if you're on the left, you're angry, but Trump wasn't anywhere near the most conservative option out there. He's more populist than anything. So look in your own party, look in your own movement to say, how could that guy get elected? Well, because you didn't offer anything anybody who even wanted to risk having in office.
It's a brand new year. Tim Jones to tell you about the brand new things happening at The Hideout, famous for the Sunset Patio, 50 big screen TVs, live music and events, a fantastic game room, and of course, the food. The Hideout has a brand new menu featuring their world famous wings, the best handcrafted burgers, new items like the signature Sunset Dip and Dave's Chili, and a second location at Sugar Creek Golf Course in beautiful High Ridge. Experience the Hideout while enjoying a round of golf. Come in for lunch or dinner. The new 2025 Hideout, hideoutsportsbar.com, hideoutsportsbar.com will definitely